Big news. I have some important news for you.
Interesting news.
It's Blake and Darren's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
It's Friday news time with Sandy. What's up?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday.
What's up, honey child?
Hey, child.
So many people love that, I tell you. All right, honey child. Let's get this on the road. So a Cayman Karen spat on a man.
I saw this. What was going on with this yesterday?
Oh, I missed it.
This is a situation down at Canal Point where some construction workers are there for a new development. And the installer, which doesn't even work for the construction company, but he's there installing appliances and so on, was taking his lunch break. So his wife and 5-year-old son came to collect him so he could sit down and have his lunch. Well, this lady who says that they own the road, and to be fair to her, it is a private road, but people in there have access.
She owns it.
Yeah, she owns it. And so
no one else.
He was belligerent and had a Karen moment where she was yelling and cursing at him, yanked open the car door. And eventually spat on him and then took off, cursing and carrying on.
I didn't see the video. Is there video of her spitting on him?
No, because they didn't think that this is what was going to happen. So nobody was recording her when all that went down.
But there were witnesses
for the video. Yes, there were multiple witnesses.
And she did that in front of his wife and child.
And a child that she actually had in the car as well.
And her child.
How's
that for a role model?
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. Anyway, the community members are calling for her to be charged with common assault because that's what that would be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you figured out who she is by now.
Absolutely. 6 migrants arrived in Cayman Brac on Sunday. The CBC has confirmed that it's 5 males and 1 female arrived in the Spot Bay area of Cayman Brac, and they're now being processed. But we had a gentleman call the show yesterday asking if we knew anything about 11 people that had, left for a journey a month ago, and we don't know anything about them. So it seems like they're missing. So not a good situation at all.
No.
So hopefully he'll get some good news. Maybe they've reached Honduras or something and he just doesn't know, or Mexico. I don't know. All right. Vendors are now approved for 7 Mile Beach Park. So this is where some 34 vendors can now operate by invitation for vendor permit applications. So the current vendors who've not been granted a permit have been issued a cease and desist order, which they have to cease operations by February the 14th, just in time for Valentine's Day. So make sure.
Also, by the way, Valentine's Day is also Ash Wednesday, bank holiday.
Oh, does it fall on Ash Wednesday? Oh, wow.
Why are they giving like a month? Like if you don't have a permit, like you should just pack it up.
Yeah. Trying to be nice, I guess.
I feel like this has been a story for a while.
It has for many years, actually. All right. And finally, this isn't exactly a kick your story, maybe for some people. Kasnique Cupid, who has been denied, she was the mastermind, according to the court, of the Tortuga robbery a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. She's been denied leave to appeal her sentence. Remember, she got like a 10-year sentence, and a lot of people thought that it was excessive. And so she actually applied on that basis, and the court turned it down. They wouldn't even hear it.
Do you know why she got 10 years? Because, you look at some heinous crimes out there,
Yeah. There was a lot of things, like she never pled guilty. And she, really ran the court around. There's quite a bit of reasons. I remember I was there during the trial. Yeah.
Okay.
Armed robbery starts at like 10 years anyway.
Oh, okay.
And it was an armed robbery. It was quite something to see.
Okay.
Those are your news headlines. Happy Friday, everyone.
3-day holiday weekend, Sandy. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Awesome.
Sandra all the time is here with the cold heart through. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning And in the evening, they always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. Oh my goodness. Look at me. Forgot to take off my mute button. Ooh, honey chow. Did I mess up the radio? Hold on now. Got to put in my little headset. I was saying good morning, everyone. It is the third Friday of 2024. How is everybody doing? Hope you guys are having a fabulous 2024 so far. We got lots of things that we're going to be covering today, including a couple polls. So let me just double check that we're still good. Panda Radio. Don't you just love that intro song? We get a little bit, I find myself swaying to the music. Honey, yeah, such a great song. And then Mr. Berman, who is the author and producer and everything of that song, he actually has done a country song for me as well. Look at that. I mean, who knew that we would have a country music song about CMR? Absolutely. I mean, we'll play it again. It debuted yesterday, but we'll play it again in a little bit in case you guys missed it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Mr. Berman. I know he's going to tweak a couple things, like when we can actually get in the studio and stuff. But I mean, he's so talented. Woo, that's what you call some good key man talent right there. Thank you, everyone. Miss Vernita is here. OA says hi. Hi. What does OA stand for, I wonder? Diamond Princess is in the house. She says, happy Friday. Have a safe and fantabulous day. Thank you, Miss Wee Wee. Relaxing weekend. Irvelyn is here. Stephen joining us from the UK. Oh, gosh. Hold on now. I need to grab my links. Okay, while I'm grabbing my links, I'm actually going to play the country song as well. Y'all ready? Hold on. Yes, honey. Chill. Cool heart trip. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra.
Yeah.
The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the road and you will hear Sandra.
Mm-hmm.
Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra.
Aww. We love finding money. Mm-hmm. Just listen to that guitar. Oh yeah, that's nice. Beautiful. Good morning, sunshine.
Call her late at night.
Yeah, don't call too late now, honey. Yeah.
And she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone. And when politics
Answer the phone when I call.
Everyone really want to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. And some will start to criticize. Get on the show and tell pure start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone want to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone want to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra.
Look at that, folks. Yeehaw. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Two completely different genres. So depending on what mood you're in, you know, you can play the first one and then there you go. He did a little country music one for me as well. That's fantastic. Absolutely love it. Somebody actually did one for me that's a little bit different. It's more like, I guess, I don't know what genre that would be. Dance hall, hip hop, I don't know. But maybe I'll play that one day as well because, you know, somebody took the time to write it. So, but those two, definitely my favorite. All right, Irvelin, I think we're good. Jake, good morning. How are you? Miss Beulah is here. Miss Dean says, yes, honey, chow. Here making my tea. Good morning to Haley, Felipe. Haley says, I ain't doing a thing this weekend. Good for you. Sexy Jeannie, good morning to you. Canada is here. Oh, yeah. Bring it on. Good morning to Paula. Says, good morning, my cuz. Have a blessed morning. Good morning. Good morning. We've got Kimmy. Selena, how are you? Oh, it's your mom's birthday. Well, happy birthday. Yes. Okay, we'll get a birthday song queued up. Send her picture to us as well. We'll post her up. Caribbean Sunshine says, buenos dias, Mirina. Hello, darling. How are you? Scott is here. Oh, Scott, I must have gained 5 pounds over the holidays, going in every day, eating your holiday special over at Waffle Monkeys. Oh, God, I feel like I could go for some right now. Oh, am I the only one who thinks about holiday food when it's not the holidays? Some nice turkey and ham and stuffing and making myself hungry. Miss Sonia, how are you, honey chill? Patrick, morning. Morning to Miss Pat. Somebody says, good morning, here in the office, listening to you on YouTube. I know a lot of you be sneaking a little listen at work, and people tell me they have their headphones in. The boss, they can't even hear the boss. They have no access to Facebook because they block Facebook, but a lot of times they don't block YouTube. So y'all be tuned into YouTube. By the way, if your bosses try to block YouTube or Facebook, you know that Bobo is actually, the live stream is online as well. So just go to dmsbroadcasting.com, and I think it's .com, and you should be able to listen live there as well. Just a little, you know, giving you the sauce. All right. Miss Venice says, the next time I'm at Peppers, I'm going to ask Mr. B to play this song. That is so funny. What night is he at Peppers? Is it Friday or Saturday night? Boy, that'd be some good music. I got to tell you, I love good live music when you get to dinner. So Alejandro's in the house. Good morning, Alejandro. Good morning to Miss Sharon. Says, I wonder why Cubans leave if, according to that, it is the paradise of the stars. Chill. No. That is no paradise when you're so poor. Poor things. Robert, good morning to you. Aliana's in the house. Good morning, Annie. B345. How you doing, honey? Chill. Miss Hilda is here. Says, happy Friday, beautiful people. Dean says, I'd like to see Sandy stand up and do a few moves, aka dance. Yes, sir. Annie says, I love listening to your show, my morning routine. Oh, thank you so much. And you know, the beauty of it, there's so many people who have made it a part of their morning routine. They say, girl, I get up. If you're late, I'm like, where is Sandy? You go on vacation. I'm having withdrawal symptoms. I'm like, OMG. Oh my God, what the heck? All right, Irvelin, thank you. Says, but here you busting out the people, them little secrets. Now you're going to get them blown or blow. Well, listen, even the bosses be listening. Let's be honest. They be doing a little sneaky link too. So it's all right. It's all right. So, yeah, happy Friday, third Friday, like I said, of 2024. third Friday of January. This month is just skirting all by. It's like on roller skates, going quickly. So we got a lot to talk about. Some serious stuff, some stuff that makes my stomach upset to even think about it, much as talk about it. But we got to give you guys all the details. So we're going to definitely do that. So poll question. We do have a poll that's up today as well. And this is in relation to yesterday's show. So what do you think? By the way, what? All right. So just a possible correction here. I want this person to confirm this first, though. I'm surprised at that. Hold on a second now. This is with our Penny story. The nationality of the person may have been different, but I want this person to confirm it before I change it. So hold on one second. Yeah, honey child. I'd be surprised if this changes. Yeah, we want everything in the story to be accurate. So we're going to confirm the person is saying that the nationality may have been different, but we're going to get them to verify. It's neither here nor there in terms of you deciding to spit in someone, but the change in nationality to me is interesting because I would have thought the potential nationality that he's now saying that it is would have knocked her out. Seriously. You gonna spit on a Jamaican? He must be. He must be from some little country, and some little country bumpkin in Jamaica. Because most Jamaican men not gonna tolerate that, even from a woman. You're not gonna spit on him. So let me just verify the nationality. The police report. We've contacted the police to inquire about whether or not they are going to do anything about it, since they do actually have a report, whether or not they're investigating it. What is it that they're doing? So that's going to be our poll question today, is whether or not you think that they should charge little Miss Penny for, it would be common assault is the charge. So let me pull up the poll here in just a second. I tell you, the more I thought about it yesterday, the more I was disturbed by what happened. And it wasn't just that. I mean, it was a whole, like, she pulled over, got out of her car, was pulling on on the car window. Like they said, jerk the door open. Listen, at that point, I think most people would have had all rights to defend themselves. But in a court of law, self-defense has to be proportionate. That's the legal term that they use. So in other words, you can't bring a gun to a knife fight kind of thing, right? So you always have to keep that in the back of your mind. It has to be proportionate. But Lord, honey, child, I would have to pray for the good Lord to explain to me in that moment what proportionate actually meant, because I think I'd be seeing red. So I don't know. But you know what is so funny though? We say these things about how we would respond, but I got to be honest with you, when you're in a situation, you do respond a lot different than you think. Because there have literally been situations when I reflect on it afterwards, I think in my head, why was I so calm in that moment? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? And so that's a lesson in that, in fact, you never know what you're going to do. What I think happens is sometimes you are literally so shocked in the moment, like your response is like delayed. So like right after the person drives off, you're just like, oh yeah, I should have knocked that what out. So Scott is asking for a quick recap. So Scott, we have Miss Penny Patterson, what's her name? Patterson Bird, who lives down in Canal Point. And apparently she and some other residents, not just her in the area, have not been happy with a new construction set of condos and stuff that are going up in there. So they go by and they are always making slurs and remarks to the construction workers. And so on December the 22nd, she actually got in an altercation with a man who his wife and young child had come to meet him for lunch. The wife was actually driving, and it was a right-hand drive vehicle. And so the man got in the vehicle to sit down, she came and yanked the door open, yelling and screaming at him, going on belligerent. And apparently at some point actually spat at him before getting back in her car and driving off and cursing out 2 additional workers as well. So he was there installing the appliances from a local, appliance company. When I say appliance company, I don't want y'all to confuse, not appliance repair, but they actually sell appliances. So I don't necessarily want to name the company, but the company was made aware of the incident, and the police were also called, and a report was made over the phone. Now, from all indications, the police haven't done anything, and it's been almost a month. They haven't done any follow-up phone calls, nothing of the sort. And so I'm just confirming the initial report. It was that he was a Filipino man. This morning, I'm going to ask the developer to just give me some confirmation. I mean, that bit of it isn't really here nor there, except I would understand a Filipino man taking that more than a Jamaican man, but we're going to confirm. And so basically, people are calling for her now to be charged with common assault, because spitting at or on someone is common assault. Caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning.
How are you?
Not bad. I wouldn't want you to mislead people into believing that if they come and attack me with a knife that, well, I'm going to say, okay, can you pause 1 minute until I find my knife? No.
I mean, a gun
that.
can definitely be appropriate that's a typical saying, like you don't bring a gun to knife fight or whatever, but
No,
definitely
it's the other way around.
You don't bring
the other way around.
You don't bring a
You
knife
don't
to a
bring a
gunfight.
knife to a gunfight.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. Mhm.
Anyhow, take care.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So someone's asking, is it the developer? I get the sense that they're just not happy about the development, because they've already got their place. So now they don't want nobody else to have anything down in Canal Point, and talking all sorts of foolishness. So it's a hot mess, and it's indicative of really, really selfish people. When they've got what they want, they don't think anybody else should get a little crumb or anything like that. But anyway, unfortunately, they only started recording her after all of this. So we don't have the actual spitting on camera, but 3 or 4 different people witnessed it, including the man, obviously himself, his wife and young child. She did it in the presence of who I'm assuming is her own child, who was in the vehicle with her as well. Now, I don't know how much that child would have seen, because, kids, depending on how tall they are, her child is sitting in the driver's seat. So based on the video that I see, he does look like he can see out the window. He or she, I'm assuming it's a boy. It looks like a boy's head. But I'm assuming that he could actually see out the window. So as you guys know, we did call. She's a manager at PwC. I'm curious to know what kind of manager she is, actually. But we did reach out to them, and they said that they were aware of the matter and they were dealing with it internally. We don't know exactly what that means. Most people don't think much of it will most people don't think much will come of it internally, because her husband is a partner, and let's just be honest. They say kisses go by favors, or is it favors go by kisses? No, kisses go by favors. So your husband is not going to hold you accountable because you spat on someone. Although my husband would probably divorce me. He'd be like, that's a horrific thing to do. He would not be happy. But a lot of people, listen, a lot of y'all know what horrible spouses you have, and so you do nothing about it. You let them go around embarrassing you and embarrassing themselves and not being very nice people. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, morning. As I listen to this story again today, I don't know, because I can promise you, if that was me, she would have get one of them box downs you always talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What is more, I don't know whether it's hurtful or painful or embarrassing, is that she had a child in the car.
Yeah.
She had a child in the car.
Yeah.
And when these types of behaviors start to creep up in school and they're demonstrated toward other children, we talk about, I don't know where he would have seen that. I don't know where little Tommy would have gotten that from. It's not something that we do, and I mean, it speaks to a greater consciousness for all of us, myself included as a parent, of our actions. We just think it's our words, but it is also our actions. But I want to publicly say that I think that woman is despicable and vile. And she spat, sorry to put it this way, on the right person. Because if it was the wrong person, she might have needed a new face or definitely a jaw. That is, this is how we get communicable diseases.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. There's absolutely
despicable thing that you can do to another human, and for what reason?
Yeah.
For what reason? What could possibly justify you spitting on another human?
Yeah.
What?
And she was apparently saying, that she owns the road. And I do want to put this distinction in there because this ties into a few other things that we've been talking about. It is a private road, but
she should pick it up and take it with her. She should pick it up and take it with her.
I think that government also needs to look at. Remember the other situation in West Bay with the right of way, where people think that they can own a private right of way, and then government had to go in and make it a public road in order to kind of address that issue. I think that even in these so-called gated communities, government should not allow shouldn't allow, in my opinion, any such thing as a private road, because then you start to get people like Penny. It's a private road, so you can't come in here. You can't own it. You can't,
Well, this is it, right? And a private road, for all intents and purposes, it could actually exclude emergency services if it wanted to.
Well, I don't think the law permits that even on a private road. But
I don't know, because the law is kind of skewed, in my opinion, around it, because it says something that let's just use a DUI, for instance. If a person is driving under the influence and goes onto a private property, the only way that person can be, I guess, kind of sort of reined in is that the private property is personal and not private as in a commercial private, let's just say a supermarket parking lot.
Right.
Because they take it that although it is private, other persons can
access it.
Correct. So I mean, I'd hate for Penny to be choking on something and need an ambulance, but it is despicable. It is.
I mean, I'm thankful that I've never experienced anything like that, and I hope to God I never do, because again, girl, I really know in my heart of hearts that I'm not designed for prison. That's not the life that I'm about. But in the name of self-defense, I would have to tap her very, very hard for doing that sort of thing. And to me, it would make no difference that she was a woman. In fact, if a child even spat at me, I would have to use a lot of willpower to not grab that child and string that child up. You've got to teach kids that like you said, the fact that she did it in front of her own child, I think adds also another element to this, because you have to wonder, people like this, they are raising children who are the next generation, who are going to be torturing your children, not for anything. I mean, I don't know anything about Penny, and I don't know where her kids go to school or whatever, but one of the issues that is constantly reoccurring at Cayman Prep, for example, is that the children at Cayman Prep, who are foreign children, normally 99.999% Caucasian, English and whatever entitlement at that school, and they go around bullying the local children, and they do all sorts of things to them, blaming them for vaping, which they didn't do, blaming them for smoking in the bathroom, just calling them the N-word, doing all this stuff. And the administration and teachers at Cayman Prep are ill-equipped to deal with the situation. And of course, the Caymanian parents who send their children to Cayman Prep, don't want to teach their kids to just pump somebody up, because then the kids will get expelled from school, and they want them to stay in this, good academic school and whatever. But it's one of the things that they struggle with. And I've always thought to myself, what kind of parents are raising children that would go in school and think that they could talk down to other children who, this is their country, by the way, just not for nothing, and actually call them the N-word and all kind of stuff? That means that those children...
But most behaviors that we know are learned and taught, whether it's directly or indirectly,
Yeah.
they learn them taught.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so to throw your hands up and say, oh, I don't know where Johnny got it from. You absolutely do know where Johnny got it from.
Yeah.
And again, I implore all of us to be more conscious. I mean, maybe we're not as disgusting and vile as that animal that I saw there. But, you know, just in general, maybe you're saying the S-bomb, you know, in front of your kids, and it's not a big deal. But just remember, they are, and I will use that old cliche, they are little sponges. And even as teenagers and that they start to think and believe that there's a behavior that you yourself are engaging in is okay, and you start to listen, you let it slide once that is it.
Yeah. I mean, this is where parents, I think, need to be more cognizant of the things that they're doing in front of their children, because so many parents do things and they don't think about, wow, my child just saw me do that. You know, cursing in front of kids, you know, all sorts of egregious behavior. And so, you know, parents, let this be let this be a lesson that you should not do certain things in front of your children. You have to be very, very cognizant of the example that you are setting for them, because children take it all in. You know, believe me, I'm always surprised when people say to me, oh, you know, I see my child doing this, and I'm looking at them going, well, where did the child get that behavior from? Well, they're getting it from your household. They're seeing you as their primary, you know, example in life, do certain things. And that's why, you know, like I tell people, listen, I don't personally see anything wrong with adults using profanity. I mean, I think that's your right to do so. And I do have a mouth that is like a sailor sometimes, but I can tell you that I do not use any of those words in front of my child. My poor husband would probably have a heart attack. And in fact, I must admit, and this is where, you know, you have to be careful. When she was really young, she wasn't even like really talking or anything yet. I mean, she's starting to talk. I was in the car with her right on Sound Road, and I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I did say the F word. And I heard her in the background trying to repeat what I said. This is when she first started, and of course she doesn't know what it means, first starting to talk. And I was like, oh, geez, I'm peace. Let me not say that. And now it's to the point where I can't even spell. You know how sometimes you be spelling so F you, and now you can't do that, because now she knows how to spell something. And then she'll ask you, well, what does that word mean? Mom, what does so and so spell? And you're like, okay, then. So, you know, you've got to be really careful, and it's our responsibility as parents to try to raise really good, decent human beings. But you know, the comment that I've gotten, let me read to you what someone said about Penny. And again, I don't know Penny from the Man in the Moon. So believe me, you know, a lot of people, oh, is this personal? Does Sandy not like Penny? I don't even know who Penny is. She's nobody to me. I don't know her. You know.
Well, I would say as much on Penny's behalf. I have heard this story about 400 times now, and this is the first time that I have heard anybody come to Penny's defense about poor Penny. Not poor Penny. Penny is a nasty, disgusting, vile animal and should be in a cage for that kind of behavior.
Well, this is what one person said. And I think it's always interesting when, because sometimes we want to draw lines along like, oh, is that person like a Caymanian? Well, maybe they don't like English people, or they don't like expats. When you hear English people themselves, expat themselves, who've been here and who are now Caymanians, but you know, they have a different perspective. When you see them calling out a particular person for just being nasty, it takes on a very different, you know that it's the truth. You know what I mean? It takes on a very different. So I've had several people that I know who were part of that expat Caymanian community. You know, same thing. Their fathers came here when they were really, really young, back in maybe the 60s or 70s, and they've grown up their entire lives here. They consider themselves Caymanians. Another person is a businesswoman, has, you know, lots of different businesses, and, you know, in a certain sector of the community, if you will. And she said this, she said, hello from, and she puts her location. She's vacationing overseas. She said, I tuned into your show, and I just want to say, I loved you and Gigi's conversation. Also, thank you for exposing one of the very worst people, in brackets, Karen, aka Penny Bird, that I had the displeasure of knowing in Cayman. I've had a run-in with her and put her in her place and can attest that she continues to be an absolute despicable, arrogant, rude, and all-out mean person. Great show today. I mean, I was taken aback because, like I said, again, I don't know Penny. I don't know anything about Penny, but I was taken aback by this comment. And I think that, you know, who it came from certainly says a lot. And yeah, there you
I've
go.
not heard one good response with regards to her. Not one single one. I've heard nobody say, other than that comment that you just read, everybody said, well, she gets what she deserves.
Mhm.
Everybody has had the same sentiment. So she must be pretty disgusting. So all I can say, well, kudos to her. She will have a good time living it up. And I heard she got as much shame as those roosters in Hurley's parking lot with their carrying on. So I guess it may not bother her and just roll off her back.
Mm-hmm.
But I will leave you there. Hopefully she's listening and she'll learn some manners.
Mm-hmm.
She's been here long enough to do that. Learn some manners.
You know, I mean, if she hasn't learned it yet at her age, I certainly wouldn't be holding my breath. But there you go.
I'm not gonna hold my breath, but she gonna do something to the wrong person. Somebody gonna twist her face.
Mm. Well, let's see what the RCIPS is going to do about this. Folks, our poll is up. The poll question being, do you think that Penny should be charged with common assault? What I can tell you without fear of contradiction, if that was me that did that, you better believe I'd be charged with common assault. Listen, I have been charged with saying something to someone, never touched them, nothing. So you can imagine, not only did she say something to someone, she actually spat in somebody's face. So go vote in the Karen poll. I'll pull it up here, folks, and share the link with everybody as well. So what a hot mess. Caller, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. So we're going to go from one hot mess of a person to another. Let me just get this up so you guys can scan it. You can also put the link in the comment section because I know some of you say that you can't really scan things. There you go. So there's a link, and I will pull in the poll as well. You know, I find that unfortunately, a lot of times these things happen and then we let it go too quickly. We don't have the necessary follow through. And so if you guys know anything about me, you probably made the observation that I really believe in follow through. So sometimes it comes across as, oh my God, Sandy's got a little bone and she's like a dog with a bone. She's going to hold on to that bone, right? Or gnaw it to death. But I think that too often the opposite happens where we talk about something and we just let it go. Today, we moved on to another topic and, you know, no real change has come about. And there has to be real change and accountability, even if the police themselves, and I really hope that they do the right thing because legally they have an obligation to do so. Everybody should get justice. Justice is not something that is reserved for just certain people. It's like, you know, oftentimes, every single day I walk my dog multiple times. And sometimes during the course of that, I hear the dogs next door that killed my Coco. And I can tell you that as a law-abiding citizen, I've tried to do everything in my power to not retaliate in any way after that happened. It is something, unfortunately, that is imprinted on my brain as a very, very traumatic experience, to the point where when I'm walking and I hear those dogs bark, I literally have a physical response. I'm not saying that it's PTSD, but I'm saying I can understand how people can have from experiences PTSD, because my heart skips a beat. I feel as though I'm going to have a panic attack, right? I cannot even imagine if they ever got it again, what on earth would happen. And so it is, it's the sort of thing, folks, where in that case, right, regardless of how nice my neighbor is, she should have been charged with permitting dangerous dogs to be in a public space. The police, I don't know whose decision it was, whether it was them or the DPPs office, nobody charged her. And listen, this has nothing, it's not a question of whether I like her or don't like her. That has nothing to do with it. Fair is fair. And I know in my hearts of heart that if that was a Caymanian neighbor, if that was a Jamaican neighbor, even if that was a Cuban or Honduran neighbor, that person would have been charged for permitting 2 dangerous dogs to be out in the street. You know, when the police contacted me after I provided my statement, they were doing some follow-up inquiries and they're like, oh, well, you know, is it true that your dog was in the road? I almost cursed out the police officer because I said, what does that have to do with it? Coco actually wasn't. She was not, right? We had video footage to show exactly where she was. But even if she was in the road, oh, well, you know, she was walking without a leash. She was literally going to, we used to have a little bush in front of our yard that was part of like a driveway design. And she would like to go there and sniff it and just pee and whatever, and then come back inside. But even if she wasn't, that has nothing to do with the offense of permitting dangerous dogs to be on a public road. But of course, you know, they find every imaginable excuse in the world to not hold people accountable. I see somebody's calling me here. I don't know. Good morning, caller. Hello. It says WhatsApp's connecting. It's not connecting. So yeah. So, you know, it's unbelievable how as much as I go to bat for the judiciary when stuff actually gets to court, generally speaking, I do know that there is an unfairness in the process up until that point. There seems to be a different standard for some people. This is a reality that we're dealing with, and there should not be. So if we have to hold the RCIPS accountable for not even investigating the matter, preparing a file, and taking it to the DPP's office, then we have to hold them accountable. If, you know, we have to hold the DPP's office for not being fair in their rulings, then we have to hold them accountable as well. If we have to hold the court accountable for some of the decisions that come out of the court that don't make any sense, then we have to hold them accountable as well. There can be no separate justice for different people just because of who you are or what you look like or you're a person of privilege or whatever. None of that. That's why I say, listen, you know, McKeeva Bush, whatever his situation is, the fact that they could arrest him as standing premier of this country, charge him now, this is like his 3rd time at the rodeo of being charged. If they have sufficient evidence, and it doesn't take much to actually get charged in this jurisdiction, but if they have sufficient evidence for all of that stuff, I have zero issues with them charging him because he should not get special treatment just because of who he is, right? If people file a complaint, if there are allegations against him, he should be treated just like everybody else. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning, my
Good
dear.
subject. Concerning this Karen Penny or whatever hell her name is, this got to be the one of the most despicable acts that a person could do to another human being. You know, it's fortunate that she didn't meet the right person. I don't advocate any violence or anything else, but this is despicable. And I hope the police charge her.
They need to.
The max.
Yeah.
She should be, if it's possible, she should be deported because this is something we do not need in our society. I mean, and Pricewaterhouse, the manager, if that was my wife, I would take out divorce proceedings.
Here's what Johan says. Johan says, FYI, reality check. The lady is a Caymanian. So yes, because her father came here, I think in the 70s or whatever. So of course she has Cayman status. I don't know if she was necessarily born here, but listen, I don't care whether she's a Caymanian or not, Johan.
Right. She have no right to do that.
She might be a first generation Caymanian. I don't care whether she's a Caymanian or not, because if a Caymanian did that to me, they would get the exact same treatment. So to me, that's neither here nor there. But I do think that one of the reasons certain people are arrogant, despite the fact that they are quote unquote Caymanians, right? It's because of their upbringing, this sort of colonial, oh, my dad was English and we think that we're better than everybody else kind of mentality. And you cannot ignore and you cannot deny the fact that that actually exists. The sort of colonialism mentality exists and it is real and exists in people's homes. And it certainly explains the attitude that some of them have.
But Sandy, you got to realize when she was born here and these folks that came here, these foreign nationals came here, we had decent people come into this country.
Sometimes, to be clear, some of them were decent. Some of them went under the radar. They were not decent people, but we just put them on a pedestal and ignored them because they were from a foreign. And a Caymanian don't like nothing better than a foreigner, especially if they're a particular type of foreigner. Let's just be very real here, Mr. Dexter. We have accepted, we can cuss the Jamaicans and go on about them, this and that. But if you're a foreigner who is from the mother country, you automatically get a pass that you're better than everybody else. And that has been part of the problem historically with our people, is we have put those individuals on a pedestal. And that's why now when they treat us like shit, we like, oh, wow, you can't treat us like that. Really? They've been treating us like that from day one. It's just that we were accepting of it. And kissing their royal behinds too, not just accepting, but also kissing their royal behinds, because, we as a people have some internal issues that we could probably really break down and talk about.
But I'm talking about the people that I have met. I have not met anyone that would ruffle my feathers, and I am talking about the long residents that have come here years ago. They're some of the most beautiful people, but I have not met the terrible ones, so I can only give you the experience that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Sandy,
thank you.
You keep up the pressure of these and the police department to follow this up.
Thank you, Mr. Dexter.
Be the most despicable. And look who we should pick to do it with. A Filipino, which is the most.
Yeah, we're going to confirm, because the developer has said he's going to confirm this morning if the guy was a Filipino or Jamaican, but definitely foreign worker. But we're going to get confirmation of that this morning.
Okay. And anyway, thank you for having how would I put it? Bringing this to the forefront. Without you in Cayman, we would be lost. We would be like an iguana out in the dark. And I thank you personally. Thank you. And I think every Caymanian or every person that lives in this country should be calling into the radio station this morning. But I don't think that she's even going to show her, if she has any pride at all, I don't think that she's going to be out in the public after this for a while. Because if she has any pride, I would be so embarrassed to face the public.
All right, Mr. Dexter, thank you.
Okay.
We do have another caller in the line as well. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra.
Morning.
I was going to say what you said. It's an issue of cultural assimilation, and people who come here, and even though they may have been born here, they refuse to assimilate with the culture. I mean, growing up in Cayman, I might beat you behind, but I don't recall anybody ever spitting on somebody after a fight. I mean, for me, it's just so foreign to us. Not saying that it hasn't happened, but it certainly isn't. It isn't part of us. Matter of fact, I remember growing up hearing older Caymanians curse other nationalities. I won't call names for spitting everywhere. But that just shows, for me, that shows me how badly we view spitting, much less spitting on someone else. But definitely, I think it definitely is a problem with cultural assimilation. I mean, you have good and you have bad in every nation, but you certainly have people who come here, they make no effort to assimilate with Caymanian culture. They make no effort to make, Caymanian friends. They look down their noses on us. They look down their noses on our ways, and they look down on their nose on everybody else. And talking specifically about British people, again, I hate when broad brushstrokes are used to paint people.
Yes.
Right? But I find that with a lot of them, you talk to them and it's almost like they're not aware that England is no longer an 18th century world power. They think that, oh my God, it's we're the best, we're whatever. And it's like, why you left the motherland to come here.
Mm-hmm. So we have an interesting account that has jumped in. Edward Ebanks. He doesn't even post anything on his page, but he's jumped in and just updated his profile picture. I guess doesn't really want us to see who he really is. So he said, CMR, apologize. Shame on you for spreading disinformation. I was at the Lotus development site and you have made up half the alleged facts. You don't even get close to referencing the right nationality. It's evident now that trusting your information is a mistake. Hey, listen to this BS. The actual issue here is the American site manager temporarily working for Bureau, who irresponsibly had cars obstructing blind corners and roads. Subsequently, a child got injured as cars were forced onto the wrong side of the road. So let us call, hold on. Let us call Mr. Bureau this morning. Let us call Mr. Bureau this morning. And we can certainly inquire about this. The fact that Edward Ebanks, you have to hide behind a fake account says a lot about you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Bureau, how are you?
Hey, Sandra, very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. So we're live on air, FYI, and I just want to clarify something with you because we've had someone, we were still talking about this Penny Patterson Bird situation, and we've got this very suspicious account going by the name of Edward Ebanks who jumped in, had to change his profile photo so people don't even see who he is, and he's claiming that that I need to apologize for spreading disinformation. I was at the Lotus development site and you've made up half of the alleged facts. You didn't even get close to referencing the right nationalities. It's evident now that trusting your information is a mistake. The actual issue here is the American site manager temporarily working for Bureau, who irresponsibly had cars obstructing blind corners and roads, and consequently a child got injured as cars were forced onto the wrong side of the road. This is your project. This is your construction project. What do you know about what Mr. Edward Ebanks here is saying in relation to this incident, claiming that we've gotten half of the information wrong just because we need verification on the nationality, which in my mind, the nationality of the victim, which in my mind is actually a very minor detail, but we want to make sure that we get it right and we will correct it. Your site actually reported this matter to the police. Is that not correct?
Yes, we did. It's the most unfortunate incident, not one that I would have expected. Just given that this is something that was completely unwarranted, and it is really, you simply don't spit on people. You simply don't have, if you have a grievance, this is not how one should be acting, right? So what took place was definitely something that was appalling, and it was unwarranted. And the gentleman, I feel bad for the gentleman who was spot on, because he's such a lovely guy and he did nothing wrong. How the matters, what started this, if you will, is that the parking lot was being paved, and as a result of the parking lot being paved, the construction workers were temporarily parking on the shoulder of the road, not obstructing traffic. So the homeowners in the area had the ability to traverse in and out of across the site, if you will. And I just, this lady obviously took it upon herself to attack this man. He was, was unprovoked. She, if you have a grievance, we handle these things like adults. We have a conversation about it. We can facilitate and try to do what's necessary, or whatever we can do to kind of help assist. But to go after someone and actually spit on them was certainly uncalled for, and is just despicable and disgraceful.
Right.
So there we are. And just to confirm as well, because I just heard what you just said in that post. There was no incident with the child. No one got injured. There was no issue with someone getting hurt on the site. The site has never had an issue as far as in relation to anyone ever getting hurt. So that's, to me, it sounds like it's a fake post, to be honest.
Yeah. And then, I said this morning that we're going to verify the nationality. So now all of a sudden, this person, again, Edward Ebanks, looks very much like a fake account, is saying that you don't even get close to referencing the right nationalities. we are confirming the nationality of the victim. But let's be clear here, Stefan. Stefan, sorry. I was about to confuse you with your brother there for a second. Let's just be clear here. Multiple people witnessed this situation.
Yeah, I mean, if our site supervisor was there, our project manager was there, one of our general contractors. And as far as I'm concerned, it's irrelevant what the nationality is. What does it matter whether the person was Filipino or Jamaican? It doesn't matter. The fact is we're all human beings, and you don't treat people that way. You don't spit on people because you have a disagreement.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So the matter has been reported to the police, but as far as you know, the police have not contacted anybody, including yourself, from the site.
You know, to the best of my knowledge, nothing has been followed up or followed through with. So, but it was reported.
Right. Okay. So we'll get confirmation later on today on the nationalities, because like I said, we want to make sure that whatever we're reporting is as accurate as possible. So we're happy to confirm that, whether he's Filipino or Jamaican. Like I said, that's the most minute detail here of the story. And the fact that Edward Ebanks, aka Kevin, akin to Karen, would even try to say that, oh, that means that 50% of your story isn't accurate because you didn't get the nationality. I mean, you're majoring in the minor, son. You're majoring in the minor.
Yeah.
But we'll get it correct, and we will definitely fix that if it needs to be changed.
I think the bottom line here is that the act did occur, and that's the important part. The focus shouldn't be on the nationality of the individual, but the act itself. And spitting on someone certainly is just unwarranted.
It's not just that. She actually jerked open his door and was pounding on the window and all sorts of stuff. I mean, this woman seemed to have had quite a moment. I don't know if she was having some kind of, like, if there's something else going on in her life. But again, this is just not what you do.
Yeah, quite possibly. I'm not in a position to comment, but for sure, I mean, it's just, the act itself and the way in which she acted that day, I think it was certainly unwarranted. I think part of that, there's a video circulating, I think, so part of that kind of reflects a little bit of kind of what happened. And
it's
so
unfortunate that in this day and age, people are like, well, I need to see the video of her spitting. That wasn't captured in video because I'm assuming your guys weren't anticipating this to happen.
Well, who would have known, right? I mean, no one anticipated that was going to ultimately happen. So, we don't walk around with cameras in hand, right? I mean, it's just, at least not filming. So it was just completely unexpected. It's not what we would have thought, which is kind of why this thing is so shocking, I guess, right? So,
yeah. Well, hopefully we will, have some, some resolution. I think that the police should be sending a message here that justice is blind. Lady Justice is supposed to be blind. So regardless of who you are or where you're from or whatever, they should have arrested her by now. They should have fully investigated this, taken statements from everyone, and arrested her for common assault.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I mean, the way I look at this is that where is a human decency in all of this? And, I would have expected at this point, this gentleman was affected by this. I mean, no one wants to be spat on. Particularly the guy did nothing wrong. He was a subcontractor who came to the site. But the part about this that's, I think in my mind, at the very least, is that where is apology, to this gentleman? All of these days later, weeks later, this man could have been apologized to, and to the best of my knowledge and from what I understand, no one has come forward to even apologize, to say, hey, sorry for what I've done. I had a bad day. Either way, the actions are inexcusable. But
something would have been good. Almost a month later. And this incident happened lunchtime, so this is like midday. Miss Brenda is opining that maybe she was drinking. I mean, I don't know how drunk you could get driving midday, but she didn't sound intoxicated. But who knows, Miss Brenda? But still, there's no excuse for this type of behavior, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't speak to that. But yeah, I don't know what was happening as to why she acted the way she did. But either way, I would have hoped at least for the gentleman's sake that an apology would have. He would have received an apology by now. But anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But Sandra, thanks.
Yes, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you. Good talking with you.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. But
yeah, I wasn't there. So obviously we are reporting what has been shared with us. Like I said, a police report was immediately made. This isn't something a week or two later. They're like, oh yeah, well, we didn't like what she did last week. This was so egregious. Edward, I need you to pay attention now. Since you've decided to join the classroom today, I want you to move to the front of the classroom. This was so egregious that the police were called immediately. The thing that I would say to you, let me say this real quick. The thing that I would say to you, Edward Ebank, since you claim that they're breaking traffic laws, they're obstructing blind spots, whatever, tell me where those police reports are. The child was injured. Show us the police reports for that. I would welcome you to do so. Yes, caller.
Before I go, I just wanted to say here, I mean, we say that he's minoring in the details, which is true. It really shouldn't matter what ethnicity a person is, right? But here, what's implicit in in Edward, whoever Edward is, if that's even his name, here, what's implicit in his comment, the American contract, it was the American contractor's fault. So if it wasn't the Filipinos' fault, when it was the American contract's fault, why didn't Penny go and spit in the American's face? Why? Because she can't do it, but she felt like she could do it.
Well, we didn't make any we didn't make any reference to the workers who witnessed it. We did not make any reference to their nationality. I just knew that there were 3 to 4 additional persons who saw exactly what happened. So I'm not sure when he said we got most of the nationalities wrong. I don't even know what he's talking about, because the only nationality that we were speaking about was that the guy was said to have been a Filipino working for a local appliance company, installing the appliances. So if he's not Filipino and he happens to be Jamaican, we will certainly correct that. But does that change anything else about the story?
No.
Look at how Edward jumps to conclusions, right? Edward says, well, if you got that wrong, we shouldn't believe anything that you say.
Well,
right.
Sandra, maybe Penny's husband isn't the only man that she's seeing. Maybe Edward is, I don't know.
I mean, we won't no, we won't get into we won't get into any of that. But listen, it's interesting when you wish to dismiss an entire story because, oh well, you might have gotten the nationality of the victim wrong. You can't dismiss what Penny did. Edward does not even address the fact or the allegation, which was reported to the RCIPS, that she actually spat on someone. Edward, when you come into the table and you want to make an argument to say, well, let's talk about some facts here. Why don't you talk about how she grabbed the man's car door, yanked open the car door, banged it on the window? All those things are facts that were witnessed by people. Set the whole concept of nationality aside for a second. Sandra Coe says, oh, for Mr. Jim, his, what, would have been on the earliest flight out of here. Unfortunately, Sandra, as Johan is in the comment section arguing, she is a Caymanian. So we can't get rid of her. And this is so incredibly, it is what it is. So let us accept that as a fact. Right? We can't get rid of Penny. But I think what we can do, listen to me. I would be here if this was a Caymanian that did this. I would be here holding them just as accountable. If this was a Jamaican that did this, we'd be talking about it the exact same way. So she doesn't get a pass because she's from somewhere. And, to be fair, we're not calling her out because she's from somewhere else either. So I don't give two cahoots if she's Caymanian or not. Although with that accent, you would have thought she just got off the plane, that she has never lived in the Cayman Islands. My point being, when you come to the Cayman Islands and you become a Caymanian, right? My God, at least understand certain things that are part of our culture that you simply do not do. And if you do them, you should expect certain types of consequences for that, which means that the police should be talking to you, Penny. Someone said, call the police. They're so useless sometimes. We can try. Let's see now if anybody can even answer the phone. Of course, we didn't report it, but we did reach out to them with the report number. And they've not yet even, they've not yet even replied to our email. Good morning, caller.
Sandra.
Hello, honey child.
It's been a minute.
I know. Where have you been? I was missing you.
I've been listening.
Okay. All right. I was wondering if you went on a permanent vacation or something. I'm like, where is he?
This woman, I'm sorry, is completely classless. I don't care how much money you have, who you are, where you came from, or who you for. Classless.
Yep.
And what needs to happen is this woman should be forced to make a public apology, holding her accountable without any of her sorry excuses of why she acted in the manner in which she did. You cannot even call this female a lady, because a lady would never do anything like she did to anybody.
Yeah.
What I'm finding and found in Cayman, sadly, is there's too many passes given.
Yes.
People forget where they come from, whether she's Caymanian, paper Caymanian, whatever Caymanian she is. There just needs to be stricter laws. Meaning, if you're a paper Caymanian, and I've said this over and over and over again, Sandra, you're stripped of that right. If you break the law and do certain things, you are stripped of that right, whether you have your residency, you're on work permit, or you have Cayman status. It is an honor and a privilege to have Cayman status. And people come here, and they come here for a reason. If they didn't like where they were, they came here, but don't come here and try to change where you came from, because you didn't like where you came from. So why don't you just go back to where you came from? This island is just so full of, BS anymore. People come here and thinking they have every right to act the way they want, do what they want, and treat people the way they want. It is unacceptable and inexcusable, and the laws have to change. People have to change. Caymanians need to stand up, speak and speak out. And I'm not talking about paper Caymanians either. I'm talking about born and bred Caymanians. Because they're losing their country.
Yes.
And it's really sad to see and witness what I see on a daily basis. And as long as I've been here, I'm honored to be here. I'm privileged to be here, and I'm happy to be here. And I treat people accordingly, the way I wish to be treated, in a respectful manner. And a lot of people have no clue what respect is anymore.
Very true. Thank you so much, caller.
You bet.
All right. 936-2626 is the telephone number. I'm going to read a few more comments on this, and then we're definitely going to move on. So another caller calling in. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
That need a kaboom thing. He is perfectly right.
Yes.
And whether she's Caymanian or not, don't care. You got to have manners and respect for people. I wouldn't accept that being a Caymanian.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. All right. So this person says, well, let Penny know that we don't consider her being one of us, and she needs to adapt to her original nationality, because she will never be one of us, and we will always be looked down on with disgrace. And she will always be looked down on with disgrace. Somebody says, I like him, give him a kaboom. Another person. This person tells us exactly who she is. They say she's the daughter of so-and-so, and who are English and migrated here in the late 70s, and Penny grew up here. Yes, we are aware that she grew up here. In fact, people reached out yesterday and said they remember her from, I think it was St. Ignatius, and that she's always been like this. And they're like, oh, I remember little Penny when I went to school with her, and nothing has changed. This person says that thing you said earlier about not dropping it, stay on it. You wouldn't be saying anything about anybody had her actions not warranted it. A public apology to this man and his family. And they call her and ask her what her problem is, call the cops. I mean, they're so useless. I don't think it makes any sense to call them. You probably won't even reach anybody. But anyway, This person says she may have papers, but she doesn't have Caymanian values. Her behavior is indicative of the disdain many persons have towards the darker skinned members of this community. Additionally, the discrepancy of the application of law between lighter skinned residents and darker skinned residents is systemic racism. And that is from a Caymanian. And this person says, but where in the world is it okay to spit in somebody's face? How does it make sense to harass workers? Is that going to stop the project? Yeah, I mean, even in the UK, you spit in somebody's face and you would definitely, they'd probably do something to you there too. I'm pretty sure of that. This person says they should email Cayman, the PwC leadership team, asking for her resignation. This is demoralizing and disrespectful. They do have a code of conduct. I haven't read it on their website, but I'm curious as to exactly what their code of conduct even says, and if it addresses certain things like this. You know what is so interesting? When you are, when you work in certain positions and certain jobs, it does matter what you do outside of your job. And we've seen this all the time. Listen to me. You can go and Google Karens all over the world who have been fired for, Karens have not spat at anybody and they've not put their hands on anyone. And they were fired for making a phone call, falsely alleging that a black man was trying to attack her in the dog park. You guys remember that Karen, the Central Park Karen? She lost her job over that. This was back in June of 2023. So this is where you guys might remember this video went viral. She was dubbed the Central Park Karen, fired after calling 911 on a black bird watcher, has lost because she tried to appeal. The people that fired her employers fired her, and she tried to appeal that. She lost a legal appeal to be reinstated to her job. So Amy Cooper, PwC, I need y'all to pay attention now. Amy Cooper was dismissed by investment broker Franklin Templeton after cell phone footage of her falsely accusing Christian Cooper of harassing her back in May of 2020 was posted online and went viral. In a 3-0 decision, a Manhattan appeals court, ruled that Cooper, who is white, had failed to prove that she was illegally dismissed due to her race or had been defamed by her former employer. And this was according to a Reuters report. The May 25th, 2020 incident attracted global attention and global headlines after Mr. Cooper asked the woman to leash her dog in a popular bird watching area of Central Park where dogs are required to be leashed. Cooper refused, and when the situation escalated, she called 911 to falsely claim that he was posing a threat to her and her dog. Edward, seems like y'all believe in falsely accusing people stuff when you turn into Kevins and Karens. She told the police dispatcher that an African-American man was threatening her and her dog. The incident came on the same day as George Floyd was murdered by Minneapolis police officers, setting off a nationwide racial reckoning over racial intolerance, violence, and inequity. A day later, Ms. Cooper was fired from her job as an insurance portfolio manager at Franklin Templeton. She alleged in a lawsuit filed in May of 2021 that Franklin Templeton's CEO had perpetrated her image as a privileged white female Karen by making public statements about firing her after conducting an investigation into the incident. She claimed that Mr. Cooper had been an overzealous bird watcher and the encounter had nothing to do with his race. A judge last year rejected her claims. To add to this story, so I think it was Rough Seas saying, well, what do you think is appropriate? To add to the story, in July of 2020, Ms. Cooper was charged. Rough Seas and Johan, pay attention. She was charged with falsely reporting an incident by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. They say that the charge was later dropped after Ms. Cooper attended racial bias therapy sessions. We need those in Cayman. Christian Cooper is hosting a new television show, Extraordinary Birder with Christian Cooper, which premieres on National Geographic. Good for him. She was charged. So in the good old United States of America, they're trying to hold Karens responsible, but y'all are saying here, well, what do you want, Sandy? What's enough? Rough C says, let's say she did spit in his face, Sandy. You said that you would kick her, you know what, would you be satisfied with the kicking, or would you think that you need more justice? Would you need to kick her, you know what, and then give her a lawsuit and possibly get her fired from her job? What is enough? What is enough is full accountability, right? She wouldn't spit in my face and get away with it. That's common assault, and I have a right to defend myself, and I would defend myself. The police should charge her. She should be charged with common assault, and PwC should dismiss her. Done anywhere else in the world, what makes Cayman Karens so special that they get a complete pass? She's not been the only one that has gone viral and as a result has been fired from their jobs. Here's another one. California Karen gets fired after racist outburst in a McDonald's. This is back in August of 2023. So this is a TikTok video of a woman yelling at employees inside of a Fresno McDonald's, went viral last week. And now she's been sacked from her job at the Fresno dentist office where she worked. The video captioned Karen in Fresno's McDonald's was posted August the 17th, and has had some 2 million views as of Friday. And in it, a customer named Luis Aceves, whatever, Luis, let me get it right, Aceves intervenes and stands up for the employees after the woman reportedly entered the restaurant yelling at them about a soda. In the video, Aceves says, "Don't come in here and try to degrade people." The woman in response says, "F you, you effing Mexican," to Aceves before exiting the restaurant. Diners inside the McDonald's started jeering when the individual who recorded the video could be heard exclaiming in shock. I tell you, they catch you off guard, honey child. The woman was reportedly fired from her job. Employees later told Aceves that the woman had started swearing at them at the drive-through window, and then she brought it inside. She was hurling racist remarks, and he said that he told the news outlet that he needed to step in. The woman employer, the dental office of Dr. Jack Ohanessian, put out a statement on Instagram on August the 19th, because they responded swiftly, saying that she was put on administrative leave. And on August 22nd, the business posted a second statement in which they said the woman is no longer part of her team. And they went on to say, "Our diversity is our strength." Read the Instagram post. "It is a cornerstone of our lives here today and of our dental practice." And so there you go. Another Karen was fired from her job. Only in Cayman do you have no consequences being a Karen and go around cursing people and spitting on people. I'm just saying. What a hot mess. And there are multiple. Here's another one. Kid gets Karen fired from the airline. So there are multiple examples of Karens all over the world who have been, in particular in the US, because apparently they have their fair share of Karens, who have been fired because their employers recognize that that type of behavior is not something that they can be associated with. They don't want people who behave in that way to be part of their organizations. And Johan, let me be very, very clear. If it had been you, rough seas, if it had been you, you would be fired from your job. Capiche? JD says, "I slammed that yes button like a 666. If you don't know the reference, like when you slam and you got a 666 in dominoes, you slam it extra hard. And so he voted yes. So far, 91% of you say that Penny Patterson Bird should be charged with common assault. Patrick says, "Why don't we talk about how 3 Cubans who had been in the Cayman Islands for 4 years and were in the care of CBC disappeared?" Because we don't know anything about it. That's why we don't talk about it. If we don't know, we don't know. So he names them. We can certainly ask CBC about this. I suspect that if 3 Cubans in CBC custody have disappeared, they've left of their own accord and tried to go somewhere else. And maybe they haven't messaged you to say, "Hey, brother, we made it to Mexico or the United States of America. Come on over." Let's move on. Please go vote. Share the poll. Let's get those numbers up there. Someone says, "Tell her to go do this BS in Jamaica." This person says, "Good morning, Sandra. Big topic this morning on this lady spitting on people. but we can hold her accountable. Whenever she turns up to any gas station, do not serve her any gas. Supermarkets, do not cash her out. Restaurants, do not serve her. Any place on the island that she needs service, just do not serve her until she does a public apology. As simple as that. We would not even need the police to get involved. We can do this ourselves. I mean, we can hold her accountable from a community perspective, but let me be very, very clear that that is not the same thing as holding her liable and actually recording a conviction. That's what needs to happen. If it was me and you, we would have a conviction recorded. All right. 2 more comments. This person says, could this be heading in the territory of a hate crime? Although we don't have any hate crime laws yet, this is what happens when someone of her socioeconomic background assaults someone considered as being of a lower level. Who does this crap in this day and age? I don't know. Thank you for that. Okay. All right, honey child. So let's briefly touch on the Cuban situation. So yesterday, you guys know that a gentleman called in, and it was a little bit, Eddie did his best. Thank you so much, Eddie, to sort of figure out exactly. Oh, that's strange. Hold on one second. Eddie did his best to translate for us and to try to figure out what this man actually wanted. He continued to call yesterday, and I had to have another Spanish speaker call him back and say, hey, how can I help you? Like, well, what is it that you actually want? So, we explained to him yesterday that we didn't know anything about it, but there is a process when someone arrives on our shores. And so the process has got to be followed. And what I have since discovered, which is quite interesting, is that he is inquiring about people who traveled a month ago. I'm like, what? I was thinking, because I knew that some Cubans had come in recently, and it was only 6 Cubans and not 11. But I was thinking that he was referencing to those Cubans. So I'm like, well, if they just arrived, they're going to be processed, blah, blah, blah. Upon having, him call back and then this other person speak to him, what was divulged is that, in fact, these people arrived, or they left Cuba a month ago, and they have not been heard from since. I'm so sorry to hear that. He's asking if our government has done anything about it. Why would our government do anything about it? Listen, my Cuban brothers and sisters, y'all have got to understand something. The taking of this voyage from Cuba to anywhere that you're going can be very dangerous, obviously. You're out to sea in less than ideal conditions a lot of times, and your vessel, most instances, is not even seaworthy. That is a chance, and I'm sure that they're well aware of the chance that they're taking. They're desperate enough that they want to leave Cuba. So they take that chance, and it's a life or death chance. Sometimes they end up in our shores. Sometimes they drift towards Honduras, as we've seen in the past. Other times they make it as far as Mexico, or they're picked up in international waters closer to Mexico we've seen them picked up by military vessels and other vessels. And, they're assisted as best they can be. If they make it to Jamaica, the Jamaican authorities send them back almost immediately. Normally within 48 hours, Jamaica is putting them back on a plane and sending them right back to Cuba, Haiti, wherever it is that they're coming from. If a vessel left a month ago, folks, of 11 people, and you have not heard from them now, so they would have left before Christmas, it is fair to say that that vessel probably had lost souls on it. I don't know what else to tell you. Because had they reached any country, and there's not probably too many places between here and Cuba that they could shipwreck, and we would not know that they were shipwrecked, right? If they have reached any country, like I said, Honduras, Belize, anywhere else that they could may have drifted, even Jamaica, somebody would have reported, and the authorities, that we have just picked up 11 Cuban nationals. So it is not the Cayman Islands government's responsibility, because they're not our nationals, to be contacting, because he's like, oh, has the Cayman Islands government contacted Mexico? What does that have to do with us? I mean, I hate to give you the cold hard truth, but that doesn't have anything to do with us. And it's illogical to think that our government would be contacting Mexico to inquire about some Cubans. Your Cuban government has to do that. And I get the question in a way, that it's not like we as individuals can call the National Coast Guard maybe of Honduras or whatever, and probably, they communicate between government agencies. So it's a fair question, but you're asking it of the wrong people. You need to ask it of your Cuban government. If they've gone missing, but you see, they leave Cuba, I guess, illegally from their perspective, from the Cuban government perspective. So the Cuban government doesn't care. This is your own country. These are your own people. They don't care whether they made it safely or not. And unfortunately, they're not going to make any inquiries into where they might have landed. So the question that he's asking us to ask our government is a question that he himself should be asking, of his own government. Cuban people, y'all got to take control of this situation one way or the other. So, you either got to get rid of this regime and strive for a different type of government that can try to make some improvements in your country. I don't know exactly, how you're going to do that, but you've got to try to, you got to try to get that done one way or the other, as far as I'm concerned. That is not the responsibility of other countries to get involved in your governmental affairs and trying to track down your people on behalf of the Cuban government. The Cuban government would have to make a request. If the Cuban government needed assistance, I'm sure that our agencies would assist them in any way possible. Having said that, I have reached out to the local agencies, and they have said that the last group to arrive was the group of 6 on Sunday. And they don't know, they don't know anything else about these 11 people that are supposedly missing after a month. Good morning, caller.
Morning. I'm going to make a few comments about global politics.
Mm-hmm.
The World Economic Forum having a conference recently in Davos, Switzerland, was convened to deal with some important issues in the world. And one of the people who spoke is the new Argentinian president. And he had a harsh warning for that elite group of people who see themselves as the shadow government of the world and the rightful policy makers of the world. He said, he warned them that what they're doing is they're taking us towards socialism. And to be clear, socialism is just a stop towards communism. And the things that you're discussing today are just symptomatic of a deeper issue. And what he said to them was, look, Argentina has over 80 years experience in socialism, and has destroyed their country. I'm saying to the Caymanian people that we're headed in that direction as well. Because there's people who come here from places like Cuba and other places that are very socialist and expect the government to do everything for them. That will destroy us in a heartbeat. Okay? And our own people have those expectations.
I was going to say.
To some extent.
Yes, okay? That is true.
And that's not good. And his warning was, he said, listen, we have over 80 years experience in socialism. We're in a good position to give you some advice about why it doesn't work. And let me tell you something. He has 2 degrees in economics. So he understands what he's talking about very clearly. Okay? And so, yeah, if you want to have a better life and you live in a country that's socialist, you need to start asking yourself, how do we change our government? right? Because I'm speaking for myself at this moment. I am not interested in having people come here and turn us into a socialist country. I will fight that to the bitter end. And when I say fight, I mean literally fight to the bitter end. I do not want Cayman to go the route that Argentina has gone. And if you're not familiar with it, you might want to look it up and understand what the consequences are. Right? The inflation is outrageous. It just crushes a country completely. What's the reason why it ends up happening is because it happens at a rate that people just tolerate it by saying, that's just one thing, doesn't have anything to do with me. Oh, that's those Cubans, or that's this, and just brush it off. The reason why things like that end up destroying a country is because we don't understand the real threat it is, because the rate at which it happens to us. We need to be cognizant that we're going down that road, and we'd better take a serious look about how we administer this country. I'll give you one example. You know how politicians like to give handouts leading up to elections? That is like putting a piece of bait on a hook, okay? And there's a reason why when you throw a line overboard with bait that you catch a fish, right? It's a trick, because what you see is a free gift. You don't see the hook, right? And socialism gives you gifts, but understand it comes at the cost of taking all of your freedom from you. That is why going and complaining to the Cuban government about the status of a boat is meaningless.
But let me ask you the question then. What is our government supposed to do about Cubans who've gone missing? They left Cuba. So you think it's our government's responsibility to try and track them down?
No. If our government has information about it,
of course they would share that. That's part of their
but it's not our obligation to go.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that from a humanitarian's perspective, if we're able to, we have some idea of where they are, but should we just aimlessly start combing the entire ocean for endlessly to try to find them? That has its limitations. If you have some idea of where the people might be and you can assist, I don't have a problem with that. Just from a humanitarian perspective. But should we run ourselves into debt because Cubans don't want to deal with the root cause of their problems? No. We know what the price of communism is. We know what the price of socialism is. And every certain amount of decades, there's always some group of people who takes and they repackages socialism and say, well, this time it'll work because we made the correct adjustments. Socialism does not work. It has never worked. And you want some advice about socialism? Margaret Thatcher said, the problem with socialism is that one day you run out of other people's money. Right? Take care.
Thanks very much.
All right, bye.
936-2626 is the telephone number. Reading a few comments. Argentina's new president is a far-right, self-proclaimed anarcho-capitalist who is as deranged as Trump and Bolsonaro, would take anything he stands for with a grain of salt. Also, since he's taken office, Argentina's fuel costs have gone up by 60%. Okay. This person says, Cubans are the most entitled, ungrateful bunch of people that I know. Who the hell going to pay for this search and rescue? They chose to leave under those conditions. Good morning, caller.
Morning. The increase in fuel costs. The problem with the way socialism and communism operates. And let me give you an example. They will sell petroleum on the global market at the global price, and then they will take those funds and they will subsidize the domestic purchase of fuel. So what you're paying in a communist or socialist society is not the actual cost of the product, right? You're paying a subsidized price. In other words, at some point in time in the future, you're going to run out of other people's money. You need to understand that. Paying for things below cost doesn't work. I know it sounds good, but it doesn't work. Take care.
All righty. Sharon. So, Sandra, we appreciate your work and your great effort. No one is able to imagine how much effort you put in, but we thank you for lending yourself to the most vulnerable in this society. Do not block people. Everyone has a reason, and you are a means that can help them. Share your problems and needs as long as it is respectful. Pat says, this Karen incident speaks so much to a larger issue in Cayman. Take note. Yes. Happy Friday to Miss Alba. Buenos dias. Sandra speaking to Johan says, Johan, FYI, agree we do, but we have every reason to be or get angry. Look what is happening. This disgraceful and despicable what we have to tolerate on our island on a daily basis. We still are the kindest and most humble people in the world. And then she puts in brackets, most of us. Scott says this country is already an unofficial welfare state. What this? Damien says the brainwashing is working. He also says they will try to topple Argentina economically to create a coup to overthrow him. I think we have enough local issues that we could be talking about politically. Scott says, what is the repair funds allocated to the National Housing Development Trust, fixing homes for people who cannot afford it? What a hot mess. All right. So let's move on. We're going to talk about a couple of court cases. I want to bring you guys up to speed on a few things that have transpired. So remember back in, let me just have a quick look at my my messages here. I think it was August. Thanks, Kevin, for getting the date for me. I should remember when we had addressed this. We discussed a man by the name of Salvin. I'm going to get his last name. Give me 1 second here. Who actually was alleged to have raped his wife's niece, who was visiting from Jamaica. I'm pretty sure that the family members came on the show, if my memory serves me correctly. Now, sometimes I have to go back and look at stuff because there's so many cases. But this was back in August, folks, of 2023, and we talked about this case. Let me just have a quick look at something here, because I do recall that I think the family members wanted to come on, and then they were told that they shouldn't or something. But I gave you the facts of what the allegations were against this man and what was alleged to have happened. So the young lady went back to Jamaica. She did see a doctor, and she was under a doctor's care. She was having some difficulty, as you can imagine, having been, raped by your uncle. You can imagine some of what she was going through. And what was even worse is that the family, in particular his wife, who resides and works here in the Cayman Islands, was going to bat for him. It's unfortunate that there will be some people who will defend, stand with, stand up for alleged perpetrators over alleged victims. And it's not just in spitting in the face cases, it is all sorts of cases. And in my heart of heart, the most egregious cases that this happens in is child abuse cases. Children have such a little voice. I mean, in some homes, children have no voice at all. You've taught your children that they have no value. Don't speak until you're spoken to is what a lot of us grew up with. And a lot of you continue to tell your children, demeaning who they are, not letting them know that as an individual, if they have something to say, they're able to say it in a respectful manner, and that they do have a voice and that somebody will listen to them. So it's no wonder that children struggle on, a regular basis with coming forward and letting someone know that they have been victimized. It's quite a sad situation. I'm just going to download this video so we can refresh your memories just a little bit on this case. But what I can tell you is that this man has now been charged. Can we get a hallelujah up in here, honey child? He has now been charged with rape and multiple other offenses. Thank you to the police. Thank you to the DPP's office for at least getting this case started. Now it will be up to judge or jury to take the matter from there. So let me just get the charge sheet, the court list, because he appeared in court on Tuesday. And so let me just pull this up. So he is charged with, let me see. So this would be his first court appearance. And let me just see here. He is now charged with, I think it's 1 count of rape and several of indecent assault. Let me look at Tuesday's list. So this is good news because, this is how it starts, the process, the legal process. And so we hope now that the prosecution has their ish together. And so here we go. So his name is Salvin Emmanuel Bailey. 1 count of rape and 2 counts of indecent assault. Finally, from when we spoke to the family, this is now happening. Let me say this. I have some concerns about what is happening at the DPP's office. So I'm going to segue into a slightly different conversation because what you guys need to now know is that they have lost and seem to continue to be losing a significant number of staff members. This is, to me, concerning because there's an issue with the continuity of cases. Some of these people who have left because I've heard of what appears to be some sort of mistreatment within the Office of Public Prosecution. This is quite sad because the previous person who was head of that government agency, department, whatever they're technically called, happened to have been from the UK, and there was a lot of complaints about how he was treating his Caymanian and most importantly, Caribbean staff as well. So it wasn't just the Caymanians. it was also the Caribbean staff. And so there was a mass exodus of those individuals leaving as well. At that time, they filed a complaint against him, alleging what they coined as racism. The governor's office got involved. You guys might remember we did a story on this. Interestingly enough, when we did the story, I think it was the deputy governor that made a statement or said in some form or another, I remember this, that because of that story, we might have been interfering with the investigative process because people might come to a conclusion about, what was going on in the DPP's office and using the term racism to describe the allegations. But that's actually what the allegations were. I mean, listen, we're not making it up. I'm not making up what the staff were complaining about. I'm just telling y'all what the staff were complaining about and what they were alleging. Whether that's true or not is a whole other question, but I'm telling you what the allegations were. They said that the former head of the DPP, I can't even remember his name now, but that he was racist, right? The governor's office undertook an investigation and they came back claiming that they found no indication of racism, but there were some administrative issues. So they were going to make, Patrick Moran, thank you. They were going to make some recommendations, if you will, on how to fix it. And they quickly then had him resign out of the position, moved him to the deputy governor's office in a consultative role, never made it public, never said anything about it. We brought that to your attention as well, hiding him in the halls of a government job so he can remain here and get status and be able to remain in this country. You see, there's certain people who do not, in my opinion, have the privilege of being in this country. Yeah, it's a privilege. If you're not born here, it is a privilege for you to be here. And you should act accordingly or catch the first flight out of ya. It's just as simple as that. Don't get insulted by it. Right? If we say that we're going to hold people to a certain standard, you can't come to a Caribbean country that values diversity, Caymanians of all colors, shades, whatever, right? We have struggled to be clear with our own issues of colorism and racism as a people. And we try to get past that as best we could. The last thing that we need to do is import any individuals who exhibit that type of behavior and who believe or have those types of ideas as how they're going to live their lives. If you're not coming to Cayman and being receptive to, you know what, there are going to be people here of all color, creed, nationality, whatever, and you have got to get along with everyone. You can't be pitting this one against that one, hating somebody because of the color of their skin or their nationality or whatever, then you're just in the wrong place. So the allegations were made. He was appointed as Director of Public Prosecutions back in November 2019. By 2021, right, we got wind before that. Again, people were resigning, people were leaving, people were not happy. That there was an investigation afoot by the governor's office, and they confirmed it. They issued a statement. And it says, regarding the investigation into allegations of racism and discrimination in the office of the Director of Public Prosecution. So we had reported that numerous employees took the stand in a case that the prosecution was claiming a clerical officer, Miss Evita Dixon, who worked at the DPP's office for 18 years. They accused her of hiding a file for her son, who had been arrested for ganja. And they thought she would throw away an 18-year career to try to protect her son from a little ganja charge. And so they brought a case against her. The Anti-Corruption Commission claimed that she had tampered with a criminal file and charged her with breach of trust. Now, this is a very serious allegation. Trust and believe. What came out during that trial was a number of different things, including that a lot of people in the DPP's office felt like they were being subject to racism by their superiors. Now, maybe racism, maybe it's not racism. Maybe it's just because, oh, you're a Caribbean person and, you know, we're not kind of attitude. I don't know. That's what nationalityism. I don't even know what we're going to call that. I'm sure there's a proper word for it, but they termed it and coined it as racism. So some of the allegations came out during the trial. Her defense apparently convinced a jury of men and women that there was definitely something afoot at the DPP's office. On the stand, we had people who are attorneys, senior crown counsels within the DPP's office get up and lie on the stand. Mm-hmm. And not only did they lie on the stand, they were even contradicting each other when they gave a testimony. This lady, she's no longer here in the Cayman Islands, thank God. She's one that decided to get on a plane and leave. Feel sorry for wherever she's gone to, but she was from Saskatchewan. And Darlene Oku, she was one of the people that was part of the problem in the DPP's office. They put her on the stand. She was contradicting on the stand what other people said had factually transpired. It was, listen to me, it was a whole hot mess and then some. So the story goes, you know, the governor takes on this investigation. He says, oh, yes, there are problems, but it's not racism. Okay. Huh. Well, it is interesting that the Caymanian staff seem to be primarily the ones complaining that they're being treated differently, that they don't get promotions, they don't get to do certain jobs. They're, it's just running the gamut of how they are treated so differently. By the way, let me remind you guys, since we were talking earlier about Kevins and Karens of the world, and in particular, our own little ones right here in the Cayman Islands, this same Patrick Moran, who still works for the Cayman Islands government, you and I happen to be paying his salary, he had a very interesting outburst in court one day. This is back in February of 2020. He was cussing and carrying on in court. And once again, nothing happens to these people when they behave like this. The rest of us would have been held in contempt of court. You probably would have been charged with something, probably would end up in jail. You would have lost your job as head of a government department had you done it. Let's be clear now. There seems to be different standards, even within the civil service, of what some people are permitted to get away with and what others will not be getting away with. So the allegation in that instance was that the director of the Office of Public Prosecution, Mr. Patrick Moran, had a mini meltdown, verbal outburst in court that was witnessed by multiple people. This is courtroom number 5 in the Kirk House building. Shortly after 4 p.m., And this was in relation to the ongoing Bonaventure manslaughter case. They were taking a break. And he jumped up and lost it, cursing and carrying on. Thankfully, the judge had already left the courthouse when Moran decided to fully express himself, yelling about how he wants to have the hearing the next day at 9:30 and blah, 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 blah. Disrespectful. No accountability, though. They get moved around from one position to the next. So it has recently come to my attention that a number of people in the DPP's office, even with the new guy, so they made Moran resign because nobody wanted to work with him. He was seen as a dictator, not a nice person, had the personality of a wet, dirty sock, the whole 9 yards. And since then, you've had multiple people leave the DPP's office. Now, we have a few Caymanians in there. We have quite a few Jamaicans in the DPP's office, and we have some other Caribbean people. I think one lady's from Trinidad. I forget where the deputy, although, did she get the deputy job? I know she was vying for it, but I don't even know if she got it. But I think we have somebody from Trinidad and a couple other places, but primarily Jamaicans, Caymanians, English, and a couple other Caribbean islands, right? And there's some of the Jamaican staff that are actually very, very good. They come here with a lot of experience. One that I'm thinking of is Mr. Greg Walcom, I think is how he pronounces his last name. All of these people have resigned. So we have Stacey Ann Kelly. We have Kelly Garcia, or Garcia Kelly. I always get his names reversed. We have Greg Walcom. We have Marquita Douglas. We have Gavin Dixon. Gavin has left the DPP's office. We have Carrie Ann. We have all these people that have resigned. They continue to say that despite the new guy who's there, whatever the heck his name is, Scott something or another, the environment remains toxic. The Caribbean and Caymanian people do not wish to work with him. They had high hopes when he first came in, and then they realized that all they've done is swapped out one English face for another, and the toxicity in the environment remains. So when he stood up in the Grand Court giving his speech the other day, I thought it was interesting, but I wonder why he didn't talk about, we're going to talk about our success stories and training and this and that. I had to wonder why he wasn't telling the people of this country the truth, or even the chief justice the truth about how apparently they seem to be losing all their staff. My God. Now, contemplate on this for a second. The investigation that was carried out by the deputy governor's office, and I guess the governor by extension, is the very same department that turned around and hired Patrick Moran as a consultant. He shows up to meetings, giving them advice on laws and so on. Please have it make sense. As these young people say, the math ain't mathing. That's so interesting. That's where you would put him? No conflict of interest there. Huh? Since the new director of the Office of Public Prosecution has been in place, 6 people have resigned. When did he get here? It's been a hot minute. 6 people have already resigned. Coincidentally, they have all been people of color. Coincidentally or not. You decide. 3 Caymanians and 3 expats, probably 3 Jamaicans. I think Kelly Garcia, what's her name? Carrie Ann and others. This is what they say about him. He's a dictator. He does not consult with his deputies. There's a lot of tension there. He has promoted people in positions to senior crown counsel. So one of the, it's interesting because he's actually Australian, but he is Australian of Indian background, Neil Kumar. He didn't get a promotion. Somebody else is promoted over him as senior crown counsel in the department. Despite the fact that Neil Kumar has far more experience and is extremely well respected by his peers, the bar, and the bench. Yes, everybody was shocked at this promotion. But of course, when you're looking at the individuals, there seems to be something amiss, even in terms of who gets promoted, how they look. And this is unfortunate. The person even went on to say she was on leave for an extended period of time and then comes back and gets a promotion. Just being on the job for a couple of years. No supervisory experience. They're like, have it make sense. Allegations that the new DPP doesn't even bother to go to court. You know, they take a lot of these murder cases before the court. He should be the lead on these. Doesn't do it. Doesn't even show up. What a hot mess. People overhear him saying things like, well, he's not going to be working all hours in the night, stuck at the office. Here's what one person said. He's even gone behind counsel's back and spoken to a white complainant after an unfavorable sentence was passed. He didn't take time to speak with his own staff members first, telling that complainant that he was let down by the court. But he doesn't do that to any of the Caribbean complainants and those of us who don't get any justice. It's just a hot mess over at the DPP's office. And I think a lot of people were hopeful that there would have been some changes. Somebody said, wow, Gavin left as well? Didn't know that. Yep. This person says, yes, Patrick is in the DG's office. The DG is full of horse manure. Canadian people can be racist. Well, anybody can be racist, to be clear. Another person say people have been complaining in the Solicitor General's office as well. It's a hot mess with no real explanation, no real accountability. They'll carry out another investigation after this mass exodus of staff, and nothing's going to happen. They probably won't even have this one resign. It is utterly ridiculous what happens in a lot of these government agencies and departments and just the civil service at large. And I'm going to tell you that the civil servants don't feel like anyone has their back. So I want to know what's happening in the DPP's office. Like, when you have that many people that start to leave, it can't be that this is just normal, turnover. This isn't a normal turnover rate. I don't have the answers. I'm just letting y'all know that there is a problem in the DPP's office. Now, what I think is happening is a lot of the staff members there are not speaking up when you should be. Unfortunately, like Gavin, he's got a new job. He's now over at HSM Group doing immigration law. The legal fraternity being what it is, I guess a lot of them don't want to rock the boat because it's relatively small. And so, they will have to continue to work with some of these individuals in and out of the court and whatever. So they just go on their way. Gavin was Crown Counsel for over 7 years. He left. And now for the past 2 months, since December, has been working over HSM Group. Nobody wants to make any waves. But the thing that I'm going to say to all of you is when you make no waves, let me be very, very clear. You can't expect anybody to stand up for you if you're not willing to stand up for yourself. I don't work there. I can only go off of what little tidbits that I hear, but you people are in the trenches. If you're in the trenches and you can't find the wherewithal to speak up, even if it's just through me, how can I help you? Somebody said to me the other day, oh, I need you to get on this DPP's topic. And I said, I need people to accurately inform me of what is going on. Not even their admin staff want to stay in the DPP's office. See, somebody else resigned again 2 days ago. And y'all don't think there's a problem over there? My God. It's a hot mess. It is really, really a hot mess. So I don't know what kind of investigation is going to be carried on this time, but I guess we'll see. Someone was asking earlier, I don't know where I saw that comment about where is this governor? Who put that comment up? Maybe you can share it again because I know I glimpsed it and then it disappeared. But someone was saying at least Governor Roper was out and about, but they feel like this particular governor just isn't even there. Trying to see if I can find it again. Repost, whoever posted that. I'd like to read accurately what you shared. So please repost it so I can read it. Shaka Zulu says, I'm confused as to why one would not see the treatment of Caymanians in the workplace as par for the core with environments with environments led by foreigners. Tweenie Fuss says some Caymanians switch up when foreigners enter the room. Even their accent will change. Sad. Damien says no red flags there? Question mark. Come see his pay. Think it's on the higher end also, of course. It's crazy. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy. Big topic here today. I haven't listened to a lot of it. I've sort of been listening a little bit and then going away. But I know what the problem is. You have explained what is happening in the DPP's office. And being somebody who has worked in the portfolio of legal affairs, I know something about what has been going on in that portfolio. Point number one, there is an unwritten policy within the portfolio of legal affairs, as well as places like the DPP. DPP is not directly in the portfolio of legal affairs since it's led by a different constitutional office holder. But if I can just generalize, there has been a policy, an unwritten policy in the portfolio of legal affairs, in legal circles in government, that Caymanians must not be given an opportunity to advance there. That is an unwritten policy. And I'll give you examples. For example, when the position of Solicitor General became vacant a few years ago, people said, well, this is a good opportunity to find a Caymanian who can fill that post. And there were some distinguished Caymanians, good lawyers, experienced, who applied for the position. They were not given that position. Why?
there were, at least in my view, two of them, Caymanians, generational Caymanians, who could have been appointed to the position of Solicitor General. They were not appointed. Why were they not appointed? The reason is simple. The Attorney General, I'll call his name, Attorney General Samuel Baljin, does not want Caymanians to have a high position in there. Now, let me give you another example. Suzanne Bothwell, a great, great lady. You know that lady, when I first met her, she seemed quiet to me. But when I saw her in leadership positions, and I found that she had a lot of leadership qualities, in my view, why didn't she become Deputy Solicitor General or become Solicitor General? They continued just keeping her as the senior legislative counsel. She has done cases. If you read the Cayman Islands law reports, she has done case after case after case. But they couldn't even make her to become Deputy Solicitor General. You know who they made the Deputy Solicitor General? There was a guy called Douglas Schofield. Nothing against Douglas, he was a good lawyer, but they were able to create a position and make him Deputy Solicitor General. Okay, but they couldn't do that for Suzanne Bothwell. Then later on, there was another lady, Vicky Ellis. Vicky Ellis also acted as a Deputy Solicitor General or Assistant Solicitor General, but they couldn't give any of those positions to Suzanne Bothwell, who is a Caymanian. What happened later on? Then they moved her to the judiciary. It was a promotion because now she had become chief officer. But what a waste. They made her an administrator when she was a litigation lawyer and very, very experienced. But it is because of that same unwritten policy, which is that Caymanians must not be given an opportunity there. The other class of people who are not supposed to be given an opportunity there, I don't want to go on so long about this because this is about me. When I was there, I developed a little course to say, well, let me help Caymanians be able to learn how legislation is worked on, how judicial review works. I also offered to train the only Caymanian who was in the legislative drafting department, only one. She just came in and I said, look, I am a very experienced trainer of people who write legislation. I used to teach legal drafting as a visiting professor at an institute in Rome way back in the 90s. And for the last 12 years, I've been an instructor on a postgraduate legislative drafting program of a university in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'll call the university Athabasca University in Canada. So I'm really experienced in this, and I have published 24 peer-reviewed papers in England, University of Oxford, London, and so on, in legislative drafting and other issues, other areas of law. And yet, when I offered to teach this Caymanian, to train her, I was told, you don't have enough qualifications to train her. Take it from me. I want to repeat that. I was told you don't have enough qualifications to be able to train her. And the person who was telling me that, she herself doesn't have even a single postgraduate qualification. And this is the thing. And that Caymanian has now been there. I won't call her name because I don't want to politicize her. She has been there now for something like close to 15 years, and she has not gotten as much as $100 increment or a single promotion because they tell her that you are incompetent. Now, to me, okay, let me wind up on this. You've given me a lot of time. You see, the problem really is political. The politicians are not dealing with the issues. These are not new issues. When I was dealing with the judiciary and I said, you people haven't met your constitutional obligation as Judicial and Legal Service Commission to draw rules which are required by the Constitution. They didn't do that. 2021, I was in correspondence with the governor and the commission. They admitted, oh, yes, we haven't done it. It's been 5 years. Yes, it's very long. But they never drew them. And then finally, last year, it came to a head. The ombudsman told them, you have to draw these rules. And then told them, why didn't you draw them even 2 years ago when it became an issue? And it's up to now, nobody has dealt with that issue. Why? It is a political issue. Every institution, whether it is people who appoint, who have power to appoint under the Public Service Management Law, under the Constitution, ultimately, when everything fails, the politicians have to say, we will have an inquiry about this and we will make some policies regarding how you do this. The problem is the politicians are not acting. Let me end there. I thank you. But there's a lot to say about it. Let me leave it there. We'll pick it up another time. Yeah.
Thank you, my dear.
Okay, thank you.
936-2626 is the telephone number. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Morning, everyone. Thank you to that caller that just got off the radio there a few minutes ago. Thank you for highlighting and calling out the Attorney General because, again, as a Caymanian, this is what I have said. Individuals have said it out loud, I think, on one of your shows one day. Going right back to our Constitution, this is why we should have set term limits on people that are in such positions within our government. We shouldn't have, even on our members of parliament, just like how they have it on our premier, there should be set term limits. Why should one person be able to sit inside of a seat and keep it warm and wear it out and cause this country this kind of mess and just sit there for donkey years? Come on, man, we must have set term limits. And I don't even know what to say because I'm sitting here and he said the key words this morning. I mean, holding back Caymanians who have worked there. It make you wonder why some Caymanians hold back from even trying to go in certain positions because they know that they're going to be held back. Therefore, their natural talents for certain positions, they won't even apply them to because of their fear and their. It really upsets me this morning to hear exactly what that man said is correct. And this is why even our members of parliament should be fighting for this constitution to be revised and put set term limits on these people. And I don't care if you're married to Caymanian. I don't care how you gain your Caymanian document or your paper, but you can sit there and hold back our genuine indigenous Caymanians who have worked their backside off all of these years. And you're going to hold them back? Really? Anyway, that's all I got to say right now.
Thank you, my dear.
So upset. Thank you.
Appreciate it. 936-2626. So one Caymanian was told by Patrick Moran that she couldn't do the job. She didn't know what she was doing. And these are the types of things. Wasn't good enough. Caymanians purposely being held back. And, you know, that type of thing gets him a secret job in the DG's office. Now, I want y'all to also remember, for full disclosure, so you guys can put everything in context. Darlene Oku is the senior Crown Counsel who was able to secure my one and only conviction after about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 attempts. She was the one who was able to get the conviction in the case with Matthew Leslie, one which I'm appealing. She also ran to the DPP's office on another occasion after this trial I was just telling you guys about, where Miss Dixon was exonerated. The jury believed her story over the word of people like Darlene and the DPP's office. She went to the police and claimed that my reporting on that case, I want y'all to pay attention now, was a criminal act. I've never even heard of such a thing before. The media has the right, I would say the obligation, to report on what happens in a court of law. I report on proceedings that she didn't come out smelling like a rose at all, but that has nothing to do with me. I'm just reporting. I'm there as an observer, and I'm bringing this to the public's attention. I'm reporting on it. She runs to the police and files a criminal complaint for my reporting. Police reached out, and in front of my attorney and myself, they say to me, if you take the story down and you take down the podcast where you talked about it, there will be no charges filed against you. This would be the same police and the same DPP's office who have since then charged me for negotiating in an ongoing civil matter where they claim that my attempts to conclude that on the instruction, mind you, and recommendation of the judge amounted to essentially bribery. But they could sit in my face and tell me, if you remove this content, if you do this, we will not prosecute you, we'll make this go away. When my lawyer said, who gave y'all this advice? Who ruled on this? Because what they said was, we have been instructed by the DPP's office to charge you. And I said, well, if you've been instructed to charge me, by all means, charge me. Why would you be? I mean, I never even knew that you could be instructed by the DPP's office to charge someone and you decide not to charge them. So I was confused because I've never seen that happen. If the DPP's office has charged someone, you charge them and you go to court. You don't come to them and use that as a bargaining tool. Bribery. We've been told to charge you. We have a ruling that says to charge you, but we won't charge you if you do this. And I said, what? Even in the moment, I said, you're trying to control the press? And this is how you're going to do it? I said, sir, something wrong with you police officers? My attorney said, who made this ruling in the DPP? Oh, well, it was actually an independent, I can't remember the exact word he used, but some independent consultant or some independent person or some foolishness. You want to know, he wouldn't tell us who it was, but you want to know who that was, right? There's only one person that it could have been. The same Patrick Moran. Put it together, folks. Put it together. Who else would it have been? Oh, an independent legal advisor. Independent legal advisor, you have all these people in the DPP's office and they're not capable of giving you the legal advice that you need? That's their job. But you see, a lot of the people in the DPP's office, they know the real score. They know that when the ish hits the fan, the only person that's really there, even for them, is good old CMR, good old Sandy. So a lot of them they're listening to the leadership in the DPP's office and they're like, this case don't make no sense. Irvin said she was trying to intimidate you and then bribe you. Well, they tried, honey child, but it never worked. I said, honey, let me be very clear. This is not the first time at the rodeo with me and you. And if you wish to follow the instructions, because I didn't think that you had a choice, of the DPP's office, by all means, you should do so. Let a jury of my peers decide what is what. Right? But that's how the cookie crumbles around here, folks. You got to be careful. I also told you guys, without any fear of contradiction, when I heard that Darlene O'Cook had been moved from the DPP's office, well, she resigned and took up a new cushy job over in the office of, now what is her, that is the legal aid, director of legal aid, that office, whatever that's called, office of legal aid or whatever. And I said, whoa, I see some movements happening here. Y'all better be careful because she's vying for that top job over there. And not for nothing, but in 2-2s, she was lodging complaints against the Caribbean director of that department as well, who had gotten the position. Y'all need to be careful and pay attention. It's really, really sad that the people who get promoted in the civil service are the ones who a lot of times are not deserving. This person says, I'm totally anonymous, more than just the DPP. You are so correct. No one has any civil servants back at all. The civil service are afraid to say anything. It's not just the DPP. Investigations are a joke. The old government was part of the old boys club. And misogyny is alive and well, along with racism and discrimination. Oh, no way. Hear this breaking news now. You got to be kidding. Where's this lawsuit? This person says that she, Darlene Oku, is suing government, now saying that they owe her money. Of course she is. Little Saskatchewan girl. Her contract ended. And before she felt that she was entitled to have her contract renewed, mind you, there's no obligation. It says so in her contract. Hold on. So, hold on. All right. So a contract ended. There's no obligation. It says so in her contract. In all government contracts, only Caymanians have an open-ended contract. You see that level of entitlement? Her contract expired, and she's saying that it should have been extended. And she even offered to leave early because she and nobody at the court could get along. She also lied in her application and told them that she was a senior of the ODPP when she was not. She told a blatant lie. And now she's suing them? What the heck? Okay. You can't make this stuff up. I can tell you that. 1 second. All right. There you have it, folks. Can't make it up. This person says, love how the police have strength for you and nothing else. Boy, they sure do. Sandy, the DG, as much as you may differ, he's not for Caymanians at all. As much as you may differ. Sad. He's supposed to be for Caymanians. And I believe he says he's for civil servants. And he does seem to go to bat at times for them. This person says DPP, workplace bullying and harassment, and nothing will be done about it. Caymanians will be blacklisted so that they keep their mouths shut. In fact, they don't even want Caymanians to listen to this show. I've been told that. Oh my God, Sandy, if we're caught listening to your program, it's like, why are you listening to her? Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Miss Sandra. How you doing?
Not bad. How are you?
This is Hunter.
Hello, Hunter.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to call in, and publicly apologize for the other day. I think it was Wednesday. I called in and it was a discussion about the courthouse, and I mentioned how I thought affordable housing was more of a priority.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to clear up a few things.
Okay.
I understand, yes, ma'am. Now I have taken the stand and I'm going to be running in the election.
Mm-hmm.
And that now terms are going to be different on your show. So I have to be more prepared and I have to learn to keep my emotions under control, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I also wanted to apologize to Mr. Kevin. When he called in, I had no idea who he was. I didn't know that he was media trained or whatever. So I kind of felt like I was being backed into a corner. So I was rude to him. So I wanted to come out and say that. I'm sorry I missed the show this morning. So I'm not really sure exactly what the topic is, but I just wanted to, put myself out there and let everybody know that. And yeah, I went to the courthouse yesterday.
Yes.
It was a interesting case.
Do you think, just out of curiosity, do you think the courthouse is fit for purpose?
It works.
It works.
I mean, I'm not sure how efficient it works.
Okay.
Obviously, you've told me that people have to wait years or whatever for a court case. So obviously that's a problem. But from what I saw yesterday, I think a little bit of paint could help. The AC was cool. It smelled nice. Everybody was comfortable. I got a nice, comfortable chair. But yes, again, this is a growing country. So, I think the capacity might be an issue. But it's the same in other government departments. So, I mean, I still think affordable housing is more of a priority. I don't think that it's what the government or the country should be focusing on only, by any means. I just think that it's an issue that we don't speak enough about, especially with the housing schemes that we have now. I mentioned that I did not like how they're being done. It's Frank Hall style. I actually grew up in a Frank Hall home in town. which is it's a beautiful home, comfortable, nice neighborhood. But the difference between the neighborhood that I was living in Georgetown, and what the government's building is that we're going to be having, one group of people living there. There'll be no inclusivity. There'll be no diversification. It's a lot of low income houses in one area tends to be an area where you see crime happening more often.
Mm-hmm.
I think my solution would be, again, our government has been known, as far as I'm concerned, to be giving grants and incentives like tax breaks and stuff to developers. That's happened in the past. I mean, I do not appreciate that, especially when they're building high-end homes only. So I think, to fix that, what we could have done is incentives specifically for developers that are coming here to build affordable housing, or incentives for developers that want to incorporate affordable housing into their development. So let's say they're building 10 high-end homes and they put little one bedrooms on the side. I mean, you can see it all over the island where one bedrooms are being included. I mean, I don't think we have enough one bedroom apartments in the country. And also we should be looking at an affordable housing fund. Budgets when the end of the year comes and there's leftover money in each of the ministries, we could look at, moving that money towards an affordable housing fund.
Mm-hmm.
I think developers often make contribution. I mean, we could look for other ways. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. What happened in court yesterday? Just out of curiosity, somebody's asking what happened.
Well, we have a lawyer working for us, and I have to say I can't quite remember his name. I can't believe it slipped my head. But he's working for us, and this man is passionate about the country. I felt proud to see how this man defended us yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something of public importance. I think we should all, look into what's going on in the court, especially when our government is being brought there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, we have Dart backed into a corner. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't be saying that on the radio, but we got him backed into a corner, and they were trying to. The first thing that the Dart organization's lawyer stood up and said was this was supposed to be in private chambers, and so obviously that's what they wanted, but that's not what they got. And yeah, I think it'd be good. It's stretched out now for over a year before we're actually going to get any decision made.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely an experience, I have to say.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes,
we
ma'am.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you. All right. Have a good
All right,
day.
my dear. You too.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. All righty. Johan says, well done, Hunter. Takes a big man to apologize, especially in public. Damien says, done seen through you, Hunter. Pat says, listening, a very valuable skill to learn, active listening. Siobhan says, right, and not just to listen, to only speak. Come ready, says Pat, politicians. Damien says, huh? Michael says developers are building on West Bay Road specifically for workers, so hotel workers, etc. There's one right next to Cost You Less right now specifically for them, which again isn't for Caymanians. Speech, question mark, says Jess. Another person says, tell him that PPM gave away millions in concessions, which could have been used to build proper housing. Tell him to go to Alden and get some money. This person says, tell him not to waste his money running for office. He has no damn clue what he's talking about. Another person says, he can't play with the big boys. Thank you for at least getting that apology for Kevin. Kevin has really carried us through the COVID pandemic, and he's a legend in my mind. Woohoo, Kevin. This person says, Hunter's not even elected yet, and he's already had to apologize for his responses. Son, you're not ready. Oh my goodness, you guys not holding back. This person says, poor guy, good intentions, but really green. He wants to live in gated communities on the back of government. Don't think so. What a hot mess. Wow. All right, honey child. After 10 o'clock, we're rolling right in. Let's talk about a few other things. So DPP's office, y'all are a hot mess and then some. Damien says maybe Dart Oregon could build staff quarters close by all their resorts and offer transport to and from work. Hunter is thanking y'all for the feedback. Okay. I tell you. All righty. Let's move on to some other court cases. DPP, we got our eyes on you. So Selvin Bailey, again, good news is that he has at least been charged. We will keep an eye on this for everyone and revert back to you all. This person said developers are in the business of making money. Government should not be dictating who or what or how much to sell homes for. That's socialism. The interesting thing about what we want government to dictate, it's so funny because a lot of times we're happy with government dictating to other people what to do. But when it comes to us, we're like, I want to plant a mango tree and I don't want government dictating to me what to do. I want to build a house and extend it and do this. I don't want government telling me what to do. So again, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Be very, very careful when you continually request governments to interfere and to tell people what to do and what not to do. That's how politicians get in people's back pockets. Because, we're going to make an exception for you if you give me, $700 and odd, closer to $1 million. Go back and look at that letter that came on the facsimile machine with the signature of Mr. McKeever Bush. Cabinet has approved this for you. Mm-hmm. Right. On Monday's program, I need y'all to tune in early because I'm going to give you this nugget. We're going to be talking about a situation with a particular developer. Renee, I think, has published a story already. But this is about a developer who has said that the Department of Environment is holding up his application. The Department of Environment has set the record straight. They said nothing like that. This is someone who clearly does not understand the process, does not understand the law, and potentially is purposely, I don't know if they've said this part, but I'm saying this because other people said this to me, potentially is purposely misleading the public. Now, I want y'all to pay very close attention because there is this allegation out in the public domain that developers, some developers, not all, but some developers and even the Central Planning Authority is making applications delayed themselves so that they can then turn around and blame the NCC, the National Conservation Council, and the National Conservation Council, the Department of Environment, DOE, because they want people to believe that there is an unconscionable delay happening because of this piece of legislation. The politicians themselves are out there perpetrating this idea. And some of them have approached me. So I'm telling you now from firsthand knowledge about, the Department of Environment is forcing, of developers to do this and to do that to protect turtle nesting. They don't want to be told anything, apparently. It's going to cost too much money to retrofit buildings and this, that, and the next thing. But they failed to tell me the government was actually going to, the Department of Environment was actually going to pick up the cost of the retrofitting. When people only tell you half a story, or they're lying to you, you got to make sure you ask yourselves, what is in it for them? Why are they doing that? So we're going to have that discussion. There is a war afoot, folks, between the environment, developers, politicians are in the mix, the Department of Environment, the National Conservation Council. This government, despite what they claim, they said, oh, we're not going to gut the law. They're gonna gut it as much as they can to make it, you might as well not even have it type of a thing. Ask yourselves, why would any right-thinking government want to do that? Oh, not Monday. My apologies. Tuesday show. Thank you, Yasmin, for reminding me that Monday is actually a public holiday. Why would they do that? Y'all need to be paying very, very close attention to some of the people that you've elected. And believe me, anybody that signs on to undoing a piece of legislation that impacts less than 1% of applications, you need to deal with them in the next election. And I mean every single one of them, I don't care who it is that supports this initiative. They're going to have a problem come next election. And you, the people, you, the voters, need to be paying very, very keen attention to that. Because why? It's the 80-20 rule, right? If something is 1% of applications that get a recommendation for an EIA, why am I going to try to revamp a law for less than 1% of applications? Who am I doing it for? Who is included in that 1%? We're going to get there Tuesday. Sexy Genie. And by the way, we're going to do a roundtable discussion between developers, environmentalists, the Department of Environment. All of them are going to come to the table, and we're going to have a roundtable discussion segment where they get to put all their cards on the table. But you guys got to go read this article, because this is our friend there, Frank Schilling. And the article is about the fact that, there is this sentiment out there that his BRAC project, which is the Port Zeus BRAC Marina Village development, has been slowed down because of the Department of Environment, that they're moving slowly. And he does not have a signed letter from DOE more than a year after his application was submitted. And, they have said, Frank does not understand the process, and this is ridiculous, and it's not true. It's a pretty serious allegation to make that a government agency is purposely, or because of incompetence or whatever reason, delaying your application, right? And so we have a statement from them, and we're going to talk about all of this in detail on Tuesday's show. So I want y'all to make sure you mark your calendar for Tuesday. Another court story. Cupid, what's her name again? Kazneet Cupid, sorry. This is the lady now, the Jamaican lady who was involved in Jamaican Caymanian, I guess she has status to her husband. Although after this, she should be eligible for deportation. And hopefully somebody over at CBC will make sure that they put in that application after she gets out of jail. But she had applied to have her case, her sentencing appealed. So remember, she got 10 years and 6 months for her part in the 2020 Tortuga liquor store robbery. The Court of Appeal has denied her application to appeal her sentence. So in other words, she's going to sit there for 60% of that 10 years and 6 months. Quite interestingly enough, she was claiming that it was excessive. And in the judgment, which came out on January the 17th, they say that we can see nothing excessive, let alone manifestly excessive, in the total sentence of 10 and a half years. And in those circumstances, we refuse leave. The Court of Appeals said that the submissions at Cupid should have been distinguished from the co-defendant, Richard Nash, are unarguable in light of the fact that Nash was sentenced to a higher term of 12 years. So her co-accused actually got 12 years. The robbery was committed by two men, one of whom remains unidentified, and the other identified as Nash. However, Cupid is considered to be the mastermind behind the robbery, planning it and waiting in the getaway vehicle. So, the judge gave her a little bit of consideration because she says that she has children and her children need her and yada, yada, yada. But the judge said, listen, you mastermind a robbery and you sat on the stand and you could have pled guilty and you refused to plead guilty. And even now, as we're sentencing you, you are still saying that you have done absolutely nothing wrong. Not only that, even now that she's in jail, she continues to post on social media and pretend like she's not in jail. So, there was some term that the judge used in her sentencing, something like, I don't want to say she called her a sociopath, but she basically did, and said that you are extremely manipulative. You manipulated this other guy, Nash, to carry out this robbery. He's not as intelligent as you. You used him, you manipulated him, you've sat here on the stand and you've lied. She even accused a man of having an affair with her to explain why a vehicle was like, she was basically trying to throw him under the bus. And the dude's like, I don't know anything about this woman in that regard. She did the most. And of course, the judge, who happened to have been from Jamaica and probably have seen a lot of cases, was not buying it. So she was found guilty by judge alone, and she was sentenced by the same judge to 10 years. Showed no remorse at all whatsoever. So Court of Appeal said, nope, you are definitely not going to be getting out any sooner than that. 60% of her 10 years is what she'll have to serve. So Mix and Stir says this is what happens when you're too hype. Elaine says she's the architect of her own downfall. Siobhan says she's got kids. She should have thought about that before committing that crime. You do the crime, you do the time. Yeah, she's got, I think, 3 or 4 kids, actually. Siobhan says she sounds like a narcissist. I can't remember if that's a term that the judge used, but the judge did use a very strong term to describe her about how she was a manipulator and all these things. So the judge was not. This is the quote. She called her shrewd and manipulative, and she said that the robbery of a commercial establishment with intended physical harm done is a serious offense that warrants imprisonment. So I don't know if she thought she was going to be walking out of there that day. And in fact, when the sentence came down, she wanted to go outside and make a phone call to tell her husband to come and see her. And they were like, you can't go outside. We're going to put handcuffs on you right now in court, and you got to come with us down in the holding cell. So her co-accused got 12 years because he was inside and he assaulted victims with the gun and so on, threatening them to the point where they're traumatized for life. I'm sure of that. Okay, so her thing was turned down, denied by the court. Damien said she's delusional. Mix and Air says a lot of Jamaicans come here for a better life and end up in prison. Well, that's because they try to do it the wrong way. Remorse bank dried up. No sus, says Elaine. Noelle says that she will lose her Cayman papers and be deported back to Jamaica. And somebody's saying, is that a question or a statement? She should, but of course she's going to argue right to family life under the Constitution. So we'll see exactly how that plays out, especially if the husband remains married to her, although he has the option of moving to Jamaica with her. So that shouldn't stop them from having the right to family life. They might not have the right to family life in this jurisdiction under these circumstances, but they can certainly still remain as a family and have the right to family life elsewhere. So we'll see. But yeah, she has someone who, she's not doing it because the prison has looked into this, but she sends instructions to people about posting on her social media because she still wants people to believe that she is on the outside and she's partying and having her best life. So she'll repost stuff all the time where it looks like, you know, she's on the outside. And people, it's so funny because people are like commenting and like, oh, you know, you look so fabulous. Like here's one from January the 3rd where she posted up claiming that she is with, hold on one second, that she is with her husband and somebody else when she's actually sitting in jail. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to open up the door for you, okay? So, what a hot mess. I mean, I don't know what to say. She is delusional. She says, I'm extremely grateful for this wealth of willpower and the ability not to lean on my own understanding. You know, she's always posting stuff. At this point, though, she's going to run out of posts to recycle, I think. So there you have it. Living her best life in prison. So, yep. December 20th, she posts up a Christmas photo from God knows when. Anyway, more power to her. Delusional would be the correct word to definitely describe her. You know, the judge encouraged her that while she's in prison, to, you know, do a better job of trying to come out a better person, basically. You know, take some courses, try to educate yourself, whatever. But I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, anything's possible. Elaine says Jamaica don't want her back. Send her to Timbuktu. But no, she's not supposed to have a phone or a laptop to be able to do these things. So they feel pretty confident that it's not her doing it, that it's actually somebody else on the outside who does it on her behalf, who has access to her social media account. All right, let's talk about another one that we've welcomed from Jamaica that has been nothing but a pain in the rear end for us, the country, and that's none other than Lovell Marriott. So Lovell now is suing multiple people, and including the government and DOE. When you're ready. So let's just go through this. Which, I mean, this one, it just really takes the cake, to be quite frank and honest. So Lovell is suing hold on, let me tell y'all who she's suing now. So she's suing the Department of Environment, claiming that they are responsible for her neighbor who uses a generator. And so the noise and whatever else is disrupting her neighbor, Keith Barnes, that they're allowing him to run his generator 24/7. So she's suing them for $10,000 in damages, according to her, because of her neighbor. And she's also filed a lawsuit against Caribbean Utilities Company for $20,000 in damages due to disconnections and what she calls dereliction of duty. So according to the court documents filed in the first lawsuit, Marriott said that the continued running of the generator has disrupted the peace in her Randite Garden home. She further claims that the fumes from the generator has caused her to experience, what did she say? Paroxysmal coughing until she throws up and has difficulty breathing and redness in her eyes. Well, that certainly has not stopped her from putting on the shortest shorts and going out on the street every day. But anyway, Marriott said that she had to leave her home and up the street to catch fresh air late at night. She also claims that her electricity bill has doubled as she is forced to use her air conditioning unit all day as the fumes from the generator has tarnished her home. Wouldn't you actually open up the windows and try to let fresh air in? Okay, I don't know. So according to the document, the fumes from the generator are a hazard to the entire Randite Garden community, with one apartment owner forced to move out or move away. This is what she claims. Marriott has also claimed that tenants complain of having shortness of breath, teeth shaking, and headaches caused by the fumes and noise from the generator. The document states that the money is to be paid by January the 29th to avoid a 50% increase. That's not how it works, though. I'm like, what? It's to be paid? That's not, when you file a lawsuit, it's not that it's to be paid. You have to go through the process, serving the person, and then you go to court. This whole thing is weird. Anyway, for his part, Barnes has responded to her. Let me see if I can actually find this message. Somebody sent it to me. Let me see. Someone sent it to me recently this week, but he's basically responded to her saying that she's the one who is harassing people in the neighborhood. And so, you know, if anything, she's the one who should be sued. So he actually has responded to her. Lord Jesus, what a mess. You literally cannot make this stuff up. So I'm just here to report it. And then the other lawsuit now against CUC is very, very interesting. So in this one, she says that she received a disconnection notice, which was done in December, for what she says was $3.02 at 10:05 a.m. And it was not restored until the following day, even after several calls reminding CUC to restore the electricity. She claims that she had several meetings with the customer service manager regarding an unexplainable series of $10 or more stolen from her money that she deposited to her account, which led to disconnection for non-payments. So who's stealing her money? Unexplainable series of $10 or more stolen from the money that she deposited to her account, meaning her bank account? So then she's short when she's paying her bill? That doesn't make any sense. But that don't have nothing to do with CUC? Okay, that's weird. So who's stealing her money? She better go talk to her bank. Anyway, so she says there was a disconnection in April, which lasted for 5 days, causing items in her refrigerator to be destroyed. And she has had tenants from 2015 to 2016 who she claims are responsible for paying the electricity bill when the electricity was not disconnected for non-payment. When the electricity was not disconnected or was disconnected for non-payment. Was not I think this needs to be rewritten. Let me just check with Renee because that doesn't really make sense. Anyway, she claims that for months. What? Say what? Not months. What the heck? For how many months? Oh my God. So that time it was for 4 months. It was turned off for non-payment. What the heck? Wow. Okay. She visits CUC's office and was told that there was a letter on file from the needs assessment unit promising to pay the bill. Because remember now, she's one of them that has come to Cayman, gotten all benefits from our government, including being supported by NAU. I don't know that this woman has ever worked a legitimate job in probably the last 10 years. So our government is taking care of her. She requested that the letter be removed because it was her tenant's responsibility to pay the bill. However, she was told that this could not be done and was asked when the tenant's lease expired. When the lease expired, CUC then removed the letter, leaving Marriott with an outstanding balance of over $1,500. She had to request a payment plan and a pay-as-you-go plan. So she claims for that one, she better have it by January the 26th to avoid a 50% increase, which again demonstrates her utter lack of understanding of the law. You don't file a lawsuit and tell them, oh, pay it by a certain date or I'm going to increase it. The lawsuit means that you're taking them to court and you're going to have to show up before a judge and argue your case, honey child. Get some common sense now. And don't forget that last year she also sued the police commissioner in summary court for $19,995 for damages she claims that she suffered after the negligence of the police led to her neighbors harassing her. Lord, take the wheel with this woman. She has no bit of sense at all. And I don't even know what to say. Just absolutely, absolutely ridiculous. The one thing she seems to be very much aware of is that she can file these lawsuits herself, and she can then, once she keeps it under the $20,000 mark, she can file the lawsuits herself and tie up summary court with a bunch of foolishness. All right, one final thing. The question about the Cubans this morning, the guy messaged saying, why aren't you talking about these missing Cubans? I have reached out to my contacts at CBC, and they have said the following. They said, we've had more than 3 Cubans abscond who were on conditional release during the processing of their applications for asylum or appeals against refusals. Many have turned up in other neighboring countries, such as Honduras, Nicaragua, and Mexico. So in other words, they're leaving of their own accord. Maybe they haven't contacted you back in Cuba because they didn't want you begging them for nothing. We're officially off the radio. Listen, stop blaming the Cayman Islands government for your hot messiness of your lives and the foolishness that y'all going on with in Cuba. You leave Cuba in desperate conditions, and you guys are the most ungrateful SOBs that I have seen in a really, really long time. Y'all have expectations that are not realistic in the real world. Cut it out. We do our best. We're hemorrhaging over $3 million last year to maintain and take care of Cuban people who come here, because yes, there should be a minimum standard of how people are treated, even if they're refugees. But you guys go above and beyond with your nastiness and your disrespect. They put you in homes, and you leave the condition that you leave those rental homes in. Feces all over the place, garbage and trash. I mean, the most. Y'all need to tell the truth. Stop the fucking foolishness and tell the truth. And let me be quite frank here, folks. You're not going to get a whole lot of sympathy from me or anybody else in this country. I don't want to hear your cockamamie story. Oh, well, this Cuban's missing and that one. Go tell Castro. Go and complain to your own damn government. Tell him about the emotional distress that you're under. See if he gives a damn. Okay? I mean, you guys are just ridiculous. Trying to make her country look so horrible, like we're abusing you, like we're beating you, like we're doing this. Really? Somebody once said to me, and this is a horrible thing to say, but I'm going to tell y'all it regardless. They said maybe their own people, Fidel and the rest of them, know how they must be treated. Because some people you can't treat nice. Take it or leave it. I don't give a damn. It's Friday. But get your shit together. Show a degree of respect and gratitude, because we are doing for you when your own government should be doing for you. Go somewhere else. When you go to Honduras, you go to America, whatever, they're not taking care of you, giving you phone card, all this foolishness like how the Cayman Islands government is. Don't come here. You think we're treating your people bad? Fine. Don't come. Plot the little GPS on your dinky boat a little bit better and skirt that way and go somewhere else. Go to Honduras, go to Belize, go to Mexico. I don't give a damn where you go. Go to Jamaica, because they'll send you home within 48 hours. But y'all need to stop coming here. And then on top of that, coming here with your stinking attitude, accusing people like we have killed your Cuban people. We've kidnapped your Cuban people. They've disappeared in the custody of the Cayman Islands government. We don't have no interest in keeping you here or making you disappear. That's not the kind of government we are. Go talk to Fidel and his people, because they're the ones who will make y'all disappear. Okay? Enough said. Noel says they get more treatment, better treatment than Caymanians. Melanie says, please don't go to Belize. Like I said, I don't give a shit where they go, but they need to stop coming here and being so incredibly ungrateful. Now, I don't care who like it, because y'all be up in your feelings. Oh, well, I'm going to go defend these Cubans, because Sandy said this about them and make them feel bad. Ask me if I care. And you're going to get an answer here today, and it's going to be a big fat nope. Their attitude is just, I don't know what to say about them. They are so rude. And listen, I'm not trying to put everybody in the same boat, because we've had Cubans who've lived here for many, many years who are respectful individuals and who are thankful for what this country has done to them. But these that come in on these refugee boats, no, sir. They're a different breed altogether. Ms. Brenda says ungrateful is an understatement to describe them. Just look at how they have thank you to the Democratic Party that allowed them in South Florida, how they said thank you. They're all registered as Republicans and now advocate that the Democratic Party should turn America communist. Wow. Then once they get to South Florida, they don't want anyone else to come, even as a visitor. Yes, they're entitled. I mean, it is, oh, honey child, they need to get their ish together. Noelle says rude and feel entitled, and they're rude, nasty, and full of shit. Well, there you have it. Please do not come on my platform and be posting your ridiculous comments, okay? Nobody has kidnapped any Cubans. CBC don't want them. We, the Caymanian people, honestly don't want you either. You can just keep going, and we'd be happy for that to happen. We have certain obligations that once you're in our waters that we have to follow. That's a requirement, you know, international standards. The UK gone and sign us up to some foolishness. And so we don't have a choice. And we will give you the process. There's a process to be followed. You can apply, you can do this, you can do that. But listen, don't get it twisted now, you know. Okay? You want to demand rights and you want to carry on about missing people, go back to Cuba and talk about all the people that are missing that you don't know nothing about, that have been missing for 50 years and you still can't find them. That's how long they've been missing. Go and do that. Some of your people are missing on purpose, because once they get to the good life, they don't want y'all harassing them back in Cuba for no money, because they got to save up and try and build for themselves. That's why they gone missing. Or, unfortunately for you, maybe when they absconded this jurisdiction, they actually perished at sea. And I'm sorry, that's horrible. But that's the chance that they took. Just like the bunch that confiscated, commandeered that Panamanian ship when they were out there about to die. I guess the Panamanian ship will never pick up another bunch of Cubans again, because they say, boy, they sure regretted that day. Anywho, good people, tell them Ingrid. She tell them in Espanol. Muchas gracias. Read it and comprende. Yeah, see. All right, Siobhan. Thank you very much, Damien. Everybody, please have a safe weekend. It is a long holiday weekend. Monday is Heroes Day. There will be 2 different celebrations on Heroes Day. Go out and enjoy it if you wish to. We'll be back here on Tuesday then to pick up the conversation on lots of topics. There's always something going on in this small little rock honey chair. You guys have a fantastic and safe weekend. Please no drinking and driving. You know what happens. You get arrested, or worse than that, you crash and kill somebody, or you might even kill yourself. So think about it. All right. Thank you, Miss Brenda. Yes, honey chow. They need to go and sit down and hush. Chow. All right. The other day, my daughter said, Mommy, what does cha mean? And she's like, what does cha mean? I was like, it's just something you say, like cha, like you're fed up or whatever. She's like, oh, because you and PK say it. She doesn't know. I was like, oh, Lord. I said, I need to take this shot around some Caymanians so she can hear enough cha and know exactly what it means. She's like, what does cha mean? And then there was another thing that I say, oh, Lord have mercy or something. She's like, what do you mean by that? Why do you say that all the time? Oh, the things, child, the things that they ask, and I don't even know how to explain it. I'm like, oh, cha to that too. Have a wonderful weekend, folks. See you back here on Tuesday morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.